going.
Mustard!
Applebee! Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
These people are fucking.
This is a warning to all living mortals. That who shall ever open this chest of demons will release 13 of the most terrifying ghosts upon the face of the earth. Okay, cut it. This isn't going to work. Let's try some nostalgia bait.
It's kind of strange. You looking happily range. I can't tell us in bed. Or have you picked your target yet? It's ending. Don't your dog bite? It's ending.
Okay, that was better. But let's try something a bit more cinematic.
Hey, where my broken arrows at? They try to tell us we can't fly. Like we too broken or something. I mean, I'd rather let them know. Hold up, hold up, hold up. My squad about to roll up. Hold up, hold up. My squad about to roll up. Get them balls up. Get them balls up. Get them balls up. Get them balls up. Hold up. Hold up, my squad about to roll up. Hold up, hold up, my squad about to roll up. All the way up, get them balls. 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 All the way up. Broken arrows get bows up. Sometimes I pray with my nose up, thinking about when the world crumbles and my whole squad just goes up. Whoa. Ain't gotta worry, we straight like an arrow, yeah. Ain't gotta worry about faith, nope. I'm on that straight and the narrow, yeah. I just go straight like an arrow, yeah.
Yeah, that's the shit I like. Let's start the Barroom podcast. Take it away, Jacob.
Yo, let me speak on this. Orderly. La vida lasa. Yeah.
That means. There you go.
Right here tonight, we're going to make them toss our salads and peel our potatoes, baby.
Okay.
Is this Barroom After Dark or something?
126, ladies and gentlemen. How you guys doing tonight? We're here on a lovely Tuesday night. I got some of my best, goodest, okay friends here joining me here tonight. Let's introduce everyone here to the show. Let's start with the cook, Cider. How you doing tonight, Cider?
I'm the cook.
Yeah,
do I want to know? I say, do I want to know what you're cooking? Can you legally say that here on YouTube?
Oh no, it's a porn meme joke from like I don't know, like 2007 or something. There's a guy that shows up and he just kills like this hostage guy that's taken this pretty lady hostage, and he just judo chops him in the neck, and she's like naked, and she says, "Who are you?" And he looks into the camera and he says, "I'm the cook." And that's the end of it.
That sounds like a Curb Your Enthusiasm type of joke.
I have no idea where it comes from. I just saw the meme go around on 4chan and I absolutely loved it. And I remembered it just before we went live here. It's like, I'm the cook.
Also joining us here, he wants to make sure you guys know it's a Tennessee Oilers jersey, not a Houston Oilers jersey. Rob Mata, how you doing that, Rob?
I'm pretty good. I mean, it's the same franchise. You know, the Texans have been around for like what, 22
years now? Yeah.
So that they have no identity, so they keep trying to claim the Oilers colors and all that shit. So it's annoying. But yeah, no, they the Titans beat the Texans on Sunday in a thrilling fashion, and Will Levis kind of suspending doubts if he's the answer. So that's fun. That's always fun to see your team actually, perform when they spend tens of millions of dollars in the offseason.
Could be worse. You could be the Giants.
True.
Who not only just dumped their franchise quarterback, who they just gave a shitload of money to, but now they're watching their franchise running back set new records for the Philadelphia Eagles. So it must be fun to be them.
It's pretty bad. They had to have Danny DeVito come out and do some stuff the other night there.
He's their quarterback now.
What's really bad is actually missing out on a 12-leg parlay by a half a point because the Vikings couldn't fucking do their job in the fourth quarter and stop the Bears from scoring. So I really and by the way, on the Thursday night game, I was like, if this game does not go under with the snowstorm in Cleveland, I think the NFL is rigged. And sure enough, it went over. I don't know how, but it went over on two teams that can't fucking score. So whatever. I'm having
we've had this conversation for like at least a couple of years now, and like every time I see. Here's the thing with the NFL. This is how they try to dupe you. They show you like the pregame of these kickers, and they're making, oh my god, he made a 66-yard, 70-yard field goal, right? Yet we're 28 yards away from a field goal. They kick it like wide left every single time. It makes no sense. So every time a kicker misses either an extra point or a field goal, I immediately go on ESPN to check what was the line for the game to see what the over/under is, and be like, I'm noticing things again. This is one of those games. Here we go. So Danny DeVito is now the quarterback of the New York Giants because they got rid of Daniel Jones, who should have never gotten an extension to begin with. It's like literally he took him to the playoffs 1 year. And it was like, okay, he's our guy now. He's the next Eli. It's like, no, he wasn't. And now he has the audacity to come out there and say that he wants to play for a contender. It's like, are you kidding me? If you as quarterback, they're no longer going to be a contender. Like, what are you talking about?
I kind of feel bad for him because at the end of the day, like, he didn't ask to get drafted 6th overall. I remember that draft night, I was like, that's a terrible mistake. And sure enough, and here's the thing, they signed him to a new contract when they knew the kind of player he was. They gave him, whatever it was, 40 million, 50 million a year, and it's like, the Giants, that's like John Mara or Wellington Mara, that's the at least one half of the Kate Mara, Rooney Mara, grandparents. So, that's a screwy family anyway. But what the hell are you doing? If I was a Giants fan, I would be embarrassed. I'm glad they at least got those 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady, 15 years ago.
I'm not going to lie. As you were describing that, Rob, I just kept picturing Danny DeVito, like out on the field. Like, this is a really bad choice for them. This is a really,
it's Tommy DeVito, who is called Tommy Cutlets. And Giants fans thought, like, because he had a nice little, like, 2-game run, it was like, it'd be the future. And it's like, it's a backup quarterback. It's not, he's Italian. No. That's why you like him. Stop it.
He's Italian and you're in New Jersey. It's like, that's all.
I would hope with a name like DeVito, he would be Italian and not Swedish.
Could be Puerto Rican. Who knows? Who knows these days?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Now, but then again, when you go back to that 2019 draft, the only other, like, it was a bad year for quarterbacks in that draft. Like, there really isn't anyone good. The only 2 other quarterbacks who are notable would be like Drew Lock and like Gardner Minshew. Those are like the only 2 other names. So it's like, no matter who they picked quarterback that year, it would have been a disaster. So it just wasn't meant to be. And Orange Hat's here. Hey, Orange.
What's up, everybody?
We are live here on Rumble. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch. I see Keith is over on Rumble side of things right now. I got some comments here. Yeah, the comments actually showing up here, but the ones that I made before the show. It's weird. I guess Streamar finally fixed their thing here tonight. Shakura Mita says, I'm ready, so I hope you're all ready here tonight. Neozoic says that your fun question. Favorite Thanksgiving Day film would you rather watch? Plane, Trains, Automobiles, the original Spider-Man, Rocky, or Thanksgiving? I did not. There was a movie called Thanksgiving in last year.
Oh yeah, Eli Roth directed it. It's a horror movie.
Stupid ass fucking.
Oh, okay. Movie. Well, that's automatically off the list. So for me, it would be between Rocky and Spider-Man. I guess sentimental probably go with Rocky, even though I probably like Spider-Man a little bit more.
I'm going with Spider-Man. You get to have Willem Dafoe go to like a dinner with Tobey Maguire, and it's intense. And I adore that scene entirely, where like the two of them are playing mental chess against each other at Thanksgiving dinner. And you have to remind yourself that that's not Norman Osborn, that's not Peter Parker, that's Willem Dafoe, and I just says Tobey Maguire, like two of the people that you wouldn't expect to have that kind of intensity in them. Willem could do a bunch of crazy faces. But like Norman was on another level for him. So that scene alone where they're having dinner together, it's absolutely hilarious. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd probably go Rocky out of all these, but it's more of I don't know. That's more of like a 4th of July movie to me than a Thanksgiving movie. So I don't know. I don't know what qualifies here, but I'll just throw in Son of a Woman is like my random Thanksgiving movie. But yeah, Spider-Man's fun. It's entertaining. I like that scene Cider was talking about where Peter's like bleeding through his shirt. So it's just like a literal tell. It's like, oops.
Oops, I did it again.
It's cranberry sauce.
Yeah. As for me,
hey, look,
either
this
planes,
guy.
trains, automobiles, or Spider-Man. Yeah.
Hey, Mark. I know you just jumped into us just now, but we were literally just asking the question: which film would you rather watch out of the ones that are listed here? Planes, Trains, Automobiles, the original Spider-Man, Rocky, or Thanksgiving, which is some horror film that came out last year. No one's picking that movie.
No. And what's up, guys? How's everything going?
Everything's going pretty well.
Yeah. Hopefully my little system here is running okay. It took forever to actually come around here, so hopefully I'm not dragging. But yeah, I think I would go for Rocky, man. You know what I mean? That never fails to get me like roused up and just that spirit. I like that. I'll go for Rocky. You know what I mean? Manly stuff, man.
That's what you hear when you get those turkey leftovers, and it's up to you to finish them off, man. You hear that Eye of the Tiger stuff playing. It's all you, man. You versus the tryptophan.
That's what I'm talking about. When fights were real. I'm not talking about
there
that.
You go.
And
then
Paul thing.
No, but then when you get all fat on turkey, you sit on the couch and all you hear is that's all you hear for the rest of the day. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
Thank God we have robot servants.
Yes. Adil has a bonus question here. He said, "What would you rather watch, the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special or the Garfield Thanksgiving special?"
Is it Garfield Thanksgiving special?
I haven't seen either one, so I can't really throw that.
Well, I mean, if you put Charlie Brown on there, for me, it's always going to be Charlie Brown. I mean, unless you're putting on like Doug or something like that, it's always going to be Charlie Brown. So,
honestly, I'm on the couch trying to sleep before the meal, and then after the meal, I'm back on the couch trying to sleep. I don't want to
just gets up to eat, and then goes back to sleep.
For that specific day, yeah, pretty much.
We got problems with the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving thing because ever since Apple TV bought the rights to these specials, you can't watch them on CBS like we used to, like back in the day and everything.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like, what kind of evil mofo does something like that?
One of the best deals or whatever from Amazon was like the 3 Charlie Brown holidays, the Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas one for like $20 on 4K Blu-ray or whatever. That was one of the better deals because normally it's super expensive, and like you said, the licensing rights have gone to Apple and it's not on public broadcast television anymore.
That is the absolute worst. Now I own those because I'm a like diehard Charlie Brown fan from way back in the day and everything. However, I believe in the power of positive energy. I like the idea that all the kids who watch that would be watching at the same time. Like there's something to be said for that. When everyone tunes in and watches it, it's on TV. You don't have to pay extra. It's not streaming, and everyone can come in and watch it, But they went and messed it up now. So you gotta pay. It just takes away from it, man.
Yep. Who else do we have here tonight? We have Vanya is joining us here tonight as well, saying hey to all you cool friends. Leslie Tarkin is joining us, and then Leslie is going with both Spider-Man and Garfield for those questions. DK is here.
All right.
Spiderfield. Oh man, that got me running at Cloverfield, and let's not bring up that whole thing. I think I went on a rant about Cloverfield like not too long ago, saying that look, the whole premise of the movie is very stupid. It's like a guy who ex-girlfriend showed up to his going away party at the beginning of the night. He then decides that he's gonna go travel into a monster, like Godzilla attacked New York City in the middle of Central Park, and go save his girlfriend who's stuck on like the 166th floor of the world's tallest building, and go save her. Because it's like, no, what? Leave her. Like, fuck her. You weren't even dating her before the night started. It's like, she's dead. Like, I get it if it's your wife or if it's your kids or something like that, but not for some ex-girlfriend who's only came back into your life like 3 hours ago. It's like, it's not happening. You're dead.
Yes,
You're super dead. What else do we have going on?
He
here?
died anyway. So I mean, like his
and then they
paid
both
off.
died anyway. So it's like it was literally for nothing.
I think that movie's production was like a big that whoever made that. I remember that was their big splash to sort of get
J.J. Abrams.
And it really wasn't about story or whatever. Obviously, that doesn't excuse a piss poor movie. And by the way, I've never seen it just because I've never had any interest. But I remember that when it was coming out.
It's one of those.
Well, I just want to say it's the ARG that did it. It had the movie itself really wasn't the thing. It was the ARG around it, the whole game about understanding the fake website they had, the fake advertisements they were putting out. All that stuff was to like, what is this Cloverfield thing? What's Slusho? What's going on with
so much more for movies? I actually kind of miss that all that marketing campaign and everything.
Well, that was the big thing that J.J. Abrams at least took advantage of, if not pioneered. I don't know really what it was, but it was the mystery box that built up the Cloverfield thing. And when people went and saw it, I remember hearing from my friends, like, this was stupid. Like, the monster's just dumb. It makes no sense. The way they explain it is it was woken up by the satellite. But if you follow the timeline of events, that's not the case at all. The satellite had nothing to do with it. The ARG says that they were mining for Slusho goo. We're talking about Cloverfield when we ought to be talking about Mike Tyson telling a little girl about death.
Oh, God. Anything regarding that Mike Tyson, the fight, if you want to call it that whole fight, which is that dumpster fire from top to bottom. And no, Leslie, I am not drunk.
No, Kamala Harris is.
Kamala Harris is hammered. Did you guys see that video?
He's staying in this fight, guys.
I just saw that while I was waiting for the computer to do what it did. Mm-hmm. I went on to Twitter and I just see this video, and clearly she's shit-faced, man.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's one of those moments where just like, who's actually running our country right now? Because we know Biden's not actually running things, and that drunk definitely isn't. So who's actually the president at this current point in time?
Whoever it is,
and the scary thing is we're escalating towards a world war. You know what I mean? We're escalating towards another world war, and you have Biden and Harris. Like, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they said we had to
we're all gonna
survive
die.
the next 3 months, they weren't kidding.
Yeah.
Well,
and you wonder why it took her 2 days to congratulate Trump. That's how long it took for her to get sober. Like,
you see that video that she did today?
Yeah. We just watched it a little while ago. And then here's Mike Tyson giving everyone the ultimate white pill.
This is awesome.
It's my age to see the legend Mike Tyson in the ring for the first time. So after such a successful career, what type of legacy would you like to leave behind when it's all said and done?
Well, I don't know. I don't believe in the word legacy. I just think that's another word for ego. Legacy doesn't mean nothing. That's just some word everybody grabbed onto. Someone said that word and everyone grabbed on the word, so now it's used every 5 seconds. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm going to die, and it's going to be...
She's like 13, dude. And like the caption says, Mike forgot he was talking to a kid.
Be over. Who cares about legacy after that? What a big ego. So I'm
gonna be in the dirt. Who cares?
I love these fight noises. This
it's like, okay, Spawn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, look, I'm gonna be in the dirt. No. Santa Claus is fake. Look, Easter Bunny isn't real.
We're dead. We're dust. We're absolutely nothing. Our legacy is nothing.
Legacy's nothing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That is something that I have not heard before. Someone saying.
Yeah, I'm 13. Most people are just talking to me about what life has to give me. You know, I'm going to live forever, Mike. I don't know about you.
By the way, you were adopted.
Mm-hmm.
You were probably born a boy. Your parents lied to you.
You're adopted. So the moon is a myth. The earth is flat. Everything's bad.
Water makes you gay.
So much for giving me that kind of idea as well.
Can you really imagine somebody say, I want my legacy to be this way when you're dead? Why do you want somebody you think somebody really wants to think about you?
Little girl, you're dead. You think anybody wants to think about you after you're dead? Nobody wants to think about it. That's a legacy. That's a lie. Everybody's dead in the ground. It's over with.
You're nothing.
What's the audacity? I think I want people to think about me when I'm gone. Who the fuck cares about me when I'm gone? My kids, me, my grandkids. Who the fuck cares?
She doesn't know what to do. She's just like, what?
Brutal, dude.
And again, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you so much for sharing whatever that was.
Damn.
Thank you for the Vietnam flashback.
Thank you very much for sharing the black. Thank you very much for sharing the blackest pill we've ever experienced here.
Amazing. Amazing.
I mean, that was
wow.
Holy fuck.
I just wonder, like when she went into her teacher, like she went back to her teacher and she showed her this. It's like, okay, I don't want to do journalism anymore. I want to do home ec and I want to have babies and I just want to be in the house all the time so that death can't get me.
Oh man, this is all oof. What else we have here? Christopher Dominguez with he's picking Spider-Man, Planes, Trains, Automobiles for the Thanksgiving movies, even though he thinks Rocky is a classic. Top Dog says, "What do you think is the best Christmas NBA game?" I gotta be honest with you, I have no idea what the Christmas NBA games are. Apparently,
there was an Air Bud that had to do with Christmas, so that one.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, apparently the NBA is losing a lot of viewers this year. So all I have to say is you get what you deserve.
It's November. Do people really watch NBA basketball in November? I mean, I don't start watching it till like February, but that's just because of the NFL.
Well, apparently, even based on last year's pace, they're already down like 25% from where they were a year ago, which is not, yeah. I mean, what is there to look forward to? I mean, no one cares about LeBron anymore. Steph Curry's old. The best player in the league is a white dude from Serbia. So it's like, no, what is there to cheer for at the moment? There's nothing. I forget the first question. Oh, okay. Apparently we're supposed to pick 2 out of the 4, but it's too late now, so we're not going back. It says, Circus said that $1 billion drunk. $1.5 billion actually. DK saying it's President Anthony Blinken. It said, oh yeah, and she's $20 million in debt because she paid off a bunch of people as well. So Kamala Harris doing her best Captain the Planet impression. The power is yours. Triple H might as well be running the NBA because it sucks ass too. So maybe he's running that one as well. And then Rooftop Korean joining us here saying that, you mean all that pandering didn't give him a few billion viewers from China? Absolutely not. So all that China money went absolutely nowhere. Santa buddies.
Do you remember this? This was the craziest thing.
No.
So like
nobody watched.
There was the Air Bud movies, and people were like, "Wow, it's a dog, and he can bounce a basketball off of his nose and not die. That's amazing."
Yep.
And they made a bunch of movies, and then the dog just died because that's what dogs do. They live a certain amount of time, and then they don't live anymore. It's what happens. But in the story, they were like, "Okay, Bud's gonna go be on a ranch," and he had a bunch of puppies, and then they just made the buddies. So they just space buddies, Santa buddies, Halloween buddies. They just put a bunch of golden retriever puppies, and they weren't the same puppies, guys. They weren't the same puppies. This went on for like a decade, making these buddies, these little puppy dogs. They just give them little voices and run them around a warehouse full of stuff. And adults fall over themselves trying to catch these dogs, and shenanigans ensues. And somehow that was an entire franchise for Disney for almost 10 years. Blows my mind. But yeah, so there was a basketball game involving a dog at Christmas time, and that would be the best NBA game ever. So there you go.
Thank God I never heard of that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone did.
Disney Channel originals were another thing, man. Like there was that leprechaun basketball player kid that was up and away.
I remember Disney Channel originals. I don't know what year that one came out. That must have been either too old or too young for me. Because
it had Henry Gibson in it from like what was it, The Burbs and Nashville and whatever. So yeah, that's why I remember it. But there's a bunch of like the Disney Channel original movies I've seen. Like what was it, The Other Me, Halloween Town, Brink.
I love Halloween Town.
You know what I mean? Like there's just these movies that I was the target audience. I was susceptible. I was like 10 years old. Don't blame me, please. But yeah, so
Brink is probably pound for pound the best Disney Channel original movie of all time.
That was the one where the kids broke into the prisoner facility or something.
No. That was the one with the skateboarders in 1988.
Rollerblading or something.
Punk wasn't? Didn't they have Punk on their hand or something?
I don't know.
What was Brink then? What was Brink?
With skateboarding or rollerblading, I don't know, something like that.
It was
Bunch
like
of
the child
kids.
X Games.
And they had to break into a facility.
No.
Okay, whatever. I remember watching one where they had to break into a facility. Their dad worked for a high-tech company that was experimenting on prisoners, and
no. It's definitely not Brink.
Okay.
Well, that was definitely after my time. I was like too old to be watching the Disney Channel or whatever that was. But it's like I remember I go back to when Disney was like special, when they were doing movies that were actually still wholesome. Like I remember the Dark Crystal Disney? I think the Dark Crystal might have been Disney. I don't know. But it was the Dark Crystal. They did the Black Hole, Space Mountain movies, Herbie, stuff like that, But those movies back then,
not Disney.
You could actually
ITC.
Huh?
It's not Disney, it's ITC.
What the Black Hole? Dark Crystal?
Yeah, Dark Crystal is from ITC.
Oh, okay. All right. So that wasn't Disney, but it was just, it was a different time, when Disney was actually still innovative in a way, and like I said, it was an event when they did stuff, it was still magical, in other words. Now it's just way too
I remember Smart House. Smart House is ass. I can say that pretty strongly.
But I hear what you're saying, Mark, because you're right. Because what happened with these Disney Channel originals is they took the premise of a sitcom and then just condensed it down into like an hour-and-a-half-hour-long movie. And they spent like, for the time, like $1.5 million putting it together with a bunch of actors from TV. And so that's it really stole the majesty of the magical kingdom. Like before this, we had the ABC channel that would have like the Disney Channel special presentation, and then you'd have like that end of the year marathon where they had a fake CGI that was cartoon animated, but it looked CGI. And they had that one with all the movie reels inside of it. And this is all the memories of Disney. And they'd 24 hours on Christmas. It'd run every Christmas movie they had. And it's gone. That's completely gone. Now you've got Captain America Infinite Reshoots just pooping all over everything Disney forever. It's over. That movie's going to cost them $70 gajillion. They're going to have to sell Ukraine in order to pay for Disney. That's just it's going to have to happen.
Yeah. It's a damn shame.
Well, speaking of butthole cancer, let's talk about Jaguar, because they released an ad last week that got a lot of people questioning their existence. Let's just call it that way. Ad decided that after watching Bud Light literally commit seppuku in front of the entire world, to the point where even baseball fans in Boston wanted absolutely nothing to do with that brand whatsoever. Wow. They decided, hey, you know what? Let's double down even after Trump has already won the election. This is their latest ad campaign for Jaguar. So not only did they release a new ad campaign, they actually changed their logo here as well. So it's a new logo, new time. This is the brand new Jaguar.
I hate it.
Why am I being subjected to this torture?
Be vivid, Orange. Delete ordinary. Break moles. Copy nothing. Jaguar. So I want you guys to soak this in here for a second. You just saw a 30-second ad for a car manufacturer. There wasn't a single car in the ad. There's no car. There was no inkling of a car in this thing whatsoever. Yet
I was confused. That's the first time I ever saw that, by the way. I was confused. I thought maybe Jaguar was like the name of a cologne or something. Like this is the actual car brand.
The car brand, the British UK headquartered car brand. That's their new ad campaign. So they also had another individual here who I guess is responsible for the whole ad campaign, and he wore a very, very interesting get up here when he was speaking at the what was this? This was the Virgin Atlantic Attitude Awards, talking about Jaguar's new commitment to diversity, inclusion, and modern audiences, which is all just great words that you want to hear. Here's the person responsible, and he looks very on brand for what we just saw here.
And at Jaguar, we're passionate about our people, and we're committed to fostering a diverse, inclusive, and unified culture that is representative not only of the people who use our products,
my ears
but in
are
a
starting to
society
bleed.
in which we all live. A culture where our employees can bring their authentic selves to work.
I'll just pause it just right there. If you work at any workplace, I don't think that your workplace wants you to bring your authentic self to work. They just want you to show up and do your damn job, then go home. And that's usually what most businesses want you to do, especially if you're going to show up looking like this. Yeah, continue.
And we're on a transformative journey of our own, driven by a belief in diversity, inclusion, creativity, policy, and most importantly, action. We've established over 15 DEI groups, such as Pride, who are here tonight in the back.
Say hi.
Pride in the back. That's where they belong.
Thank you guys for coming. Women in Engineering and Neurodiversity Matters. We've launched major policy revisions, such as transitioning at work, to drive equity and support.
Transitioning at work?
Transitioning at work.
Like you're going to go in a dude and come out of work after a shift as a woman?
No, it's called a transmission.
Individuality as our superpower.
Yes, so
the tranny, it's a transmission.
They took
now
the
audio cancer is out of the system. Thank God I could put my earbuds
they
back
took
in.
changing the tranny fluid, the gender fluid, a little too serious there.
Somebody needs to like smarten them up on what exactly that means. But yeah, Jaguar's boss is defending the new rebrand that featured men in dresses, androgynous models with their eyebrows shaved, and other weird things. Jaguar Land Rover. So if we're talking about like Jaguar Land Rover, I think Range Rover too is all in the same brand of this company as well. But the marketing director is defending the British luxury car company rebrand into whatever the hell that was. We just played the ad there of Copy Nothing, which is an ad for cars. The video blew up on social media, attracting 163 million views and 100,000 comments. I'm pretty sure they were all positive. Critics accuse Jaguar of abandoning its legacy as a high-performance sports car manufacturer with a marketing campaign and claimed the brand had gone woke. Just a quick little sidebar here. You know, we've seen a few movies over the last couple of years, like kind of like celebrating the legacy of kind of like luxury brand. Like, you remember like Ford versus Ferrari a few years ago? I think there was like a movie about Lamborghini not too long ago as well. Didn't Adam Driver play Ferrari in a movie not too long ago? Rob, you recall that?
It was a Michael Mann movie that came out. It was all right, but yeah, he played Enzo Ferrari.
Okay, so yeah, so they're doing things like that to kind of like rebrand, quite literally, like the rise and the masculinity of, you know, these luxury car brands. And then here's Jaguar doing whatever the hell this is. And to be quite honest with you, if you stare at this picture long enough, I think you do start to look directly at the gates of hell. I think this is exactly what it looks like when you enter.
Well, and if you know about their history, of Jaguar's history, they appeal almost specifically to men. They're fast, expensive sports cars that are incredibly temperamental. Historically have had electrical problems going back to the 1960s. But in fact, there's a whole story arc in the show Mad Men about Jaguar, but they're not a great company. They've struggled to really find their footing in the market. I do not think this is the way to go. They're a British company. Like you said, they own Land Rover. I mean, I don't think this is going to help sales. So I don't know exactly why you would be doing it, other than you're getting the what is that ESG money from like whoever, because hey, we're hitting all the boxes, and so maybe it is about money, but I don't think this is going to make people, especially not your target audience, interested in Jaguar. It's just going to be, hey, look how look how much we're virtue signaling about important issues. And because watching that ad, it was like, what are they selling? Is Jaguar a new club in New York City for non-binary people? And you know, it's going to be an inclusive. No, it's a car company. You know what I mean? It makes absolutely no sense.
I just think, like Jacob said, though, it is, when you stare at it, you're going to see hell, because I think that's what it ultimately is. They want to make sure that there's nowhere that you can turn in this world where you're not going to be faced with this. Like, they know exactly what it is. They know that it's an affront to everything that is decent. It goes against nature. There is no marketing value to this whatsoever. You know what I mean? At all. It's not going to appeal to men. It's not going to appeal to women. It's not going to appeal to children. None of it. They just want to make sure wherever you go, this is what you're going to see. And
It's literally like it's literally like somebody went to a marketing room. It's like, what can we do to stir off the wrath of God? Oh, I got an idea, and then this is what they came up with. That is essentially where we're at here.
They keep people in a state of confusion, so you don't even know what's normal anymore.
What's his name? Glover? What's his face? Raw Dog Glover.
Raw Dog Glover.
Exactly. Glover said that he praised the attention around the campaign as very positive and said he was disappointed at the level of hatred and intolerance shown by social media commentators towards the models in the videos. Like, here we go. By the way, I know some of you guys are asking, it's like, aren't a lot of the American companies like moving away from this, especially after Trump just won the election? Yes, a lot of them are, but like, again, you have to remember this is a UK backed company, so they're going to be the last ones to make any meaningful changes. The UK,
Well,
it is what it is.
Speaking of Bud Light, I don't know if you guys saw that Shane Gillis is like their new like spokesman or whatever. So
Bud
they're
Light
trying to turn that around where it's like, hey, we're laid back and cool and like to laugh.
It's like, yeah, remember all that shit that we were doing the last couple of years? Let's try to forget about that, right? And honestly,
everybody, go ahead.
I was gonna say, honestly, I would say that this ad is even worse than what Bud Light did, because Bud Light just had that one little video with Dylan Mulvaney, which everyone completely rebelled against. This one, I would say, is probably going a little step further than that. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, big
This
time.
is bad.
This ad needs an exorcism.
Well, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people in the room needs exorcism as well.
Well, I just want to point out, as you can see right here, like break molds, don't copy, that kind of thing. It's like the most baseline ad campaign slogans possible. Like there's that's like the most, like, ChatGPT, give me a list of our ad campaign slogans that involve 2 words. And they gave them a list, and they were like, good enough, and copy pasted it right into that ad. The other thing in marketing now, because I'm not an expert, okay? I took 3 years of graphic design in high school. That's it, okay? I'm not. But I just paid attention. That's all I did. And so what is happening in marketing is that right now there is no way to directly reach out and pluck the customer. There's ad blockers everywhere. People have their own preference, a streaming platform that have no ads or ad blocker, limited ads, whatever. So there's no way to reach anybody. Unless they're like making themselves available to these ads, there's no way to reach them. Furthermore, people will just skip over them too. They won't even look at them. So let's say you're a Jaguar and you put out a car and you put out a car ad. People go, neat, and they skip off. So what they're thinking is, this is what Marvel and DC and all these other idiots did, is we'll piss off the customer. And then they'll start talking about it. They'll spread it around and there will be interest, and we'll gamble that there'll be a 30% of those people that'll actually want to buy what they see when they come looking at what we're offering based on this crazy ad that we made that pissed off all their friends. And that's the gamble they're making, because you know as well as I do, bad news travels fast, all right? And that's what they're doing. They're pissing people off because they can't get around the ad blockers. You can't put an ad on the side of a bus that tells them to buy a Ferrari. Nobody rides a damn bus anymore. They stay in their houses all the time.
You put one on an Uber, I guess. But so here's the
tattoo it on the backside of a guy's head,
we need to reestablish our brand at a completely different price point. So we actually need to act differently. We wanted to move away from traditional automotive stereotypes.
Nailed it. No one would think that this had anything to do with cars. You got it.
So my question is, who was this appealing to? Like, who is going to watch this ad and be like, you know what? I need to go buy me a Jaguar. I'm going to go down to my latest Jaguar dealership right now. Interesting little side note here. Apparently, Jaguar dealerships are not happy about this ad because now there's a lot of people who are not going to be buying Jaguars, which, let's be honest, is a luxury car. It's not like something that's commonly sold to begin with. So you're just giving people an extra incentive to not buy their cars. And no, dealerships are probably struggling as they are at the moment.
Doesn't this sound like a DEI college graduate in like marketing or advertising or whatever it might be, who is just like, hey, you know what? There's no gay car. Let's make a gay car.
Yeah.
It's like
Didn't
a joke.
they make the
Kids
one
in the
with
hall.
the
And Rick
Volkswagen
can back me
Beetle?
up on that. It's like a sketch comedy. You know what I mean? Like a piece of satire from the 90s, but it's our reality. It's like they thought
The
this
Homer
would
car.
be a good idea.
It's like the Homer car. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll just put rainbow dildos on it. But here's the thing is that this didn't advertise a car. You notice when they're all posed up there and there's broken rocks and stuff like that behind them, they didn't think to like put a broken piece of car back there that they're breaking the ordinary, or that the door opens and it splits the engine in half or something, that they're revolutionary. No, it was, how do we bring Milan to Jaguar? Okay, that's your mission. Your mission is to go out there and bring Milan, bring the Paris fashion show into whatever a Jaguar is. I don't know. I got hired here because my dad didn't want to get accused of being gay. And that's what it is that it's that kind of coping mechanism. Who's this appealing to? This looks like a Target ad. This 100% looks like a Target ad, and at the very end of it, they flash 10% off Black Friday deal, and then the ad cuts. It looks like a Target ad. It moves like a Target ad.
So here's this little line here. The Jaguar rebrand is part of the company's efforts to attract wealthier customers and its transition into an all-electric vehicle lineup. And it goes on to quote here, "This is not a depiction of how we think our future customers are, but we don't want to necessarily leave all of our customers behind, but we do need to attract a new customer base." What customer base are you trying to attack? Trying to attract.
It's over with. All-electric lineup.
Gay wealthy people.
Rich people pay for experiences. That's what the ultimate money thing has. It's not about giant houses. They pay for experiences. That's why they hunt people on private islands. Anyway, so when they're riding around, they don't want some numb electric car like wee, wah, wee. They want that. They want that animal noise. They want to hear the dinosaur that melted down into the gasoline that's being burned up in the engine there. They want to hear the roar of that Tyrannosaurus Rex erupting out of the ass end of their car. They don't want a friendly little deet deet as they go down the road.
Final little note here. Our brand relaunch for Jaguar is bold and imaginative reinvention, and as expected, has attracted attention and debate. Our proud custodians have reached such a remarkable point in Jaguar's history. We have perceived iconic symbols while we're... by the way, I forgot to kind of mention that. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. They changed their logo too. So remember the iconic like Jaguar like logo for the brand? That's completely gone now. So they got rid of that as well. It says that the brand's reveal is only one step in this exciting new era that we look forward to sharing with more Jaguar's transformation to the coming days and weeks, the statement said. So this is only going to get worse. This is basically what he's saying. This is only going to get worse. The stock price now. I'll show it to you guys in a second. The stock price for Jaguar, its parent company, it was $1,100 back in July 30th. It is currently down to $840. So they're already in a bad way. That they're already in a not so friendly way as far as their customers go, and it's not going to get any better. So here's the old logo. So this is the old logo. This is the one that everyone knows about and everyone liked. I don't know if there was anyone out there who particularly didn't like this one. And then there's a new one here. I gotta find it on here just for real quick. Yeah,
it's just a text.
UI, but it's basically like just that now. So yeah, this is a picture of the new logo. So they went from this right here to essentially this now. This is the logo. That's Jaguar now.
Why be in business? Here's the thing: if your legacy is sports cars, and even if it has a negative reputation of being temperamental, hey, when it's working, it's fun to drive, and it maneuvers well over the road, and it provides a thrill. And obviously there's the classic connection between I don't know why, but sex and sports cars, and like that's kind of what Jaguar is. If you're gonna move away from that and basically be like, we're setting a new frontier, and I mean even trying to look at it not in a non-gay way or whatever what they're saying, what they're advertising, and it's like, okay, but you don't have anything. You don't. All you have is your foundation. All you have is your legacy, your name as a brand. And if you're pivoting off of that to go electric, when we don't even have the infrastructure to support it, I mean, what the fuck are you doing? Again, what are all these corporations? And this is not movies, all this stuff. Everybody is shooting themselves in the foot. What the hell is going on? It's like this self-sabotage. And I'm not great at business. I'm not even that great at logic. I'm a very emotionally driven person. But even I can see this pattern, this connection, where it's like, okay, you guys are doing this shit deliberately for attention, or someone's paying you money to do it. There's got to be some benefit, because I can't see how you would come to a conclusion that this was the right decision.
Well, we know it's BlackRock. They said they were going to change people's behaviors. Larry Fink is on camera, and that's what they do, is they pay these companies to act this way and tell them to ignore the profit loss and to try to fluff up the investors. And that's it. They have a mandatory buy-in on these companies of 16%. That's what they do. And 16% guarantees you controlling interest. So Larry Fink calls up and he says, hey, Jaguar, you're going to talk about non-binary people. Fine. And that's what they have to do. They have to do that. So they go off and they do it, and they keep pouring money over these guys. And that's just how it is. They're doing this in Japan now. They're buying up all the media in Japan that they can get their hands on. And it's all going the same way as the dodo. They're creaming stuff out of it.
The way that I see it is that these guys are essentially doing what Bud Light did, and needs the same treatment, because here's the thing. You are talking about a rebrand of a car business. Where was the fucking cars? I'm sorry. Where was the fucking cars? If you are trying to do a car selling, if you are trying to get investors interested in buying your cars, you failed. You're fired. Whoever is responsible for that ad, you are fired. By the way, if a person who gave that person the idea to run this kind of ad, they're fired as well if they are an employee. This goes all the way up to whoever thought that this was a good idea. They are fired. It is that simple. Because here's the thing. You lost, 1,100 to 800, or down to 800? Yeah, keep going. Because on the current rate, you're going to lose all your money by the year 2032. You are literally going to be so fucking broke that you are going to wonder why you ever thought this was such a good idea. Honestly, it really is pathetic. And truthfully, these people who think that this was a good idea, may you be banished back to hell.
There we go. Your German French stuff comes in handy. All right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just to drive a point home here. It's been stressed to me. I've seen it a couple times in a couple interviews. It keeps coming up about how Bentley sells cars. They put them at like jet shows where they're selling the F-35, where they're selling these where Boeing and Raytheon and all these companies are, because people like come off the high of buying these jets and all these things, and maybe they didn't buy a jet, but they're like, okay, so if I was about to spend $100 million on a jet, I guess I can spend $100,000 on this Bentley. It seems much more reasonable now to buy this Bentley. And rather than try and embrace that, Jaguar decides, okay, so I'm going to do an all-electric line. And here in the U.S., we have a law that says electric cars have to make a noise. They can't go around being little like silent things that run. You have to hear the wheels hitting the ground, you know? So they have to make a noise. And I really hope that they go with, I'm gay. So that way, you know, when a Jaguar goes by.
Yeah. I mean, this is just... I mean, who even knows what to say anymore? I think we were talking about this with MSK a couple days ago. And it was like, you know, we're at the point now where you're going to be watching like a Super Bowl commercial in a few months, and all of a sudden it's just going to be like 30 seconds of just like a gay orgy of men just making out with one another. And then the last like 5 seconds of the commercial is going to be Pepsi. And you're going to be like, what the fuck did that have to do with Pepsi? It's like, that's where we are.
Do you remember that? Do you remember the Meat Spin website? Do you remember Meat Spin?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just meat spin, and then at the end, the Pepsi logo fades in halfway through the commercial, and it's just spinning in the background there. You know?
It's just like I said. Here's the thing. So, okay, you hired someone to be like, hey, look, we need to gain a new customer base because we're not selling as many luxury cars as we were before. So, how do we turn Jaguar into a brand for more affordable people? And then somehow they came up with this. Like, this is your idea. I mean,
This
you
is
could have
what
ran
poor
a couple
people
of
they like
Most of the gay people are on welfare. They can't even afford a car.
Apparently not in the UK. This is apparently made for just gay people in West London. That's their whole demographic here for this whole. Like, I don't get it at all. It's like, do you want to make money? Is money even like an option there? Because I didn't hear that guy who was speaking earlier at the event. Did he mention anything about selling cars or making money or profits or like the quarter 3 reports or anything? Did he mention anything that sounded like business terms to you at all?
Did he mention anything that sounded like he worked here and didn't come in through the back door high off his ass and just said stuff into a microphone? Nah, it kind of sounds like that, doesn't it? Yeah, he didn't mention in Jaguar at all. He did. He said it once, but he didn't mention it was a car company. He mentioned a whole lot about people being able to come to work in rainbow thongs. Very important.
I mean, if we weren't like a clown show world, like somebody, as he was talking, like a couple of guys just came through, like, hey, what are you doing? I'm not finishing, and just like yanked them off the stage.
Yeah, right. Well, you heard guys in the back. You heard them. They were going, whoa. You heard a bit of that in the background, like, whoa, what's this? Somebody in the room was like, I was not informed that this is what Jaguar is doing now.
This unfortunately reminds me of Idiocracy. I've seen a number of liberals on Twitter say that, Trump is going to bring about this sort of, reign in this era of depicting idiocracy or whatever. And it's like, I'm sorry, but it's all the other corporations and that hate Trump and that ran again, gave money to the DNC or Kamala against him and stuff. And it's like, it's bringing about, whatever, globalism, ESG, if you want to go there and call it wokeism, whatever, but just this kind of collectivist, happy hand holding bullshit that really isn't about anything. It's these platitudes that are generalized, and it's about acceptance and inclusion, which doesn't mean anything when you don't believe in anything in the first place. And so I'm sorry, it's just blatant navel gazing to me. And look, I used to think that, okay, I'm just a negative, cynical person. No. You tapped into something. You felt something that was genuinely off, where it's like, okay, people don't act like this in real life. The way that they're constantly projecting. And so I don't know. At the end of the day, it's a car company that doesn't appeal to me, that I'm not going to buy their product. But it's a part of a larger pattern of behavior by corporations and government spokespeople and different entities that seemingly are all going towards the same direction. And I don't know about you guys, but growing up, whenever and this is separate from this, but the Democrats and Republicans, if they ever all voted for the same thing, you knew it was bad. You knew it was basically something that screwed over the American people. So
passed with bipartisan approval. Okay, everybody under the table.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got any final thoughts on this one? Because like I said, this apparently is only the beginning. It's going to get worse. I can only imagine if that was their opening video, that the ones that are going to come out afterwards are only going to be like more degenerate than you can possibly imagine. That their new marketing campaign.
I mean, I imagine a Jaguar dildo strap-on being sold in one of these commercials in the future, because that's basically
it's like a trailer hitch cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
you
think
got to remember
it's so
too,
important for men to speak up. It's more important, for men to speak up in your homes and your families, just to reinforce for your loved ones what is actually normal, because we get shamed a lot these days, for saying that this is some bullshit. It's like, this is not the way you sell a car. It's like cars, even like the exotic ones. When I think about James Bond, for example, it's like, that is a car can be sexy in a way that this dude is just going to get a ton of ass, because he's driving this sexy car. He's smooth and everything like that. But they want to create a gay car, a gay marketing plan around a car. It's wrong. You know what I mean? So I think the more people who can unapologetically identify that and just say, look, we reject this. We reject this. This doesn't work. I don't know what marketing like people that you go in front of that tells you that this is a good idea, but no. And you can try to shame us all you want. You can say that we're Neanderthals, we're homophobes, whatever. But this is just not. It's wrong, And there's just no place for this. It makes no sense.
Well said.
Yeah, the car. This is why a lot of like your girlfriends, your wives, mothers, sisters don't kind of understand car culture. It's because the car is an extension of a man's masculinity. And I tell these guys all the time, like, it's real nice to have a beat up Honda. It's cheap. You can do whatever you want to it. But when you show up somewhere, that's what speaks to you first. You dress in a very nice suit. You can have your hair done very well. You smell very nice with cologne. But when you roll up in a beat up ass Honda, people start making judgments about you. When you roll up in a bright red Ferrari, shift it into neutral, give it a nice thump on the accelerator, then throw her into park and get out of your car. Well, what do you know? People have a very different opinion. You could get out wearing like a stained t-shirt, Tommy Chong, like a wave of weed smoke rising up out of the car when you get out. People are going to think you're cool as shit. If you try that getting out of a Honda, they're going to be like, hey man, how many kids are in your basement? Are they alive or dead? And so that, it's one of those things where the car is an extension of the man. And when you start making it gay, you've now tore it out of being part of a man's culture, out of a man's purview. People weren't interested in Jaguar before. They're definitely not going to be now that it's not an extension of themselves. This was the horse. This was the chariot. This was the wagon. And now we are with the horseless chariot, the car. And it's the evolution,
Absolutely.
If you had a white horse, you were a completely different man on the frontier. If you had a brown horse, you were a completely different man on the frontier. You had a black horse, completely different man on a frontier. It all was about what people made assumptions of you when you adorned yourself with the vehicle, if you were. It's the extension of the man.
And I'll say this before we jump over to our next topic here. There was a time not that long ago, I know it seems like forever ago now, but there was a time not that long ago where in America, the target demographic for the entire country was men aged 18 to 34. That was the bread and butter for all marketing campaigns in the entire country for quite some time. If you were in that 18 to 34 male demographic, all the commercials were pretty much lying exactly towards you. Now, with the commercials that we're seeing now, all these ads and whatnot, they're actively hostile towards that very same demographic. So now we're going directly at the 18 to 34 male demographic, and we're propping up, radical feminism, LGBTQ, like I said, things that are basically just an affront to God itself. I mean, this is literally where we're at now with the marketing in 2024, and pretty sure it's going to continue in 2025. And until people start acknowledging that these demons are essentially controlling everything that we're watching on screens, and they have a very, very sinister agenda behind it, it is just going to continue. And like I said, this is the UK. I think they have more problems to worry about right now. Your entire country has pretty much been hijacked by Islam and is basically a powder keg that's going to explode sooner rather than later. So I don't know, maybe selling gay electric cars is probably not your top priority there, Britain. So that's all we got to say there. Next time, we're going to move on to another demonic looking person. Cynthia Erivo was talking about her black queer identity attached to the new movie Wicked, which is currently out here. Now, this is kind of a continuation of something that we were talking about on Friday's show. I wanted to bring it over here because there's a couple of angles to this story here. I mentioned this last week, I believe, on Film Threat. It was Chris Gore and Alan was on the show, and they were talking about specifically this movie. And so here's kind of the setup here. For those of you who thinking that this is like a kind of a twist on like The Wizard of Oz, it really isn't. It's based off of a Broadway stage play that was originated, I believe, in 1999. So they're basing this movie based off of that, which is also an offshoot of The Wizard of Oz itself, right? So it's kind of like a reimagining of another reimagining, which obviously they're not going to tell you that when they're marketing this film to you. But as you know, because of, it's being a stage play, the target demographic for this film, as you've seen with the movie success over the weekend, is largely women and gay men. I mean, that's really pretty much like what it is here, right? So as a result of this,
it is a musical, to be fair.
I mean that too, right? I mean it's musicals. By the way, there's a lot of musicals out there right now. None of them are very good. I just got done watching Moana 2 about a couple hours ago. We'll talk about that one on Friday. But then you had the Joker 2 movie, and the Joker 2 movie is basically just an FU to Joker fan to begin with. So maybe give that one a pass. But yeah, this whole renaissance of musical movies not going very well at the moment. But so obviously, because that's a target demographic in the film, there is a lot of hint, wink, wink moments and a lot of pandering to specifically that demographic, which is why it's getting all these rave reviews. And the stars of this movie, who look exactly like this, by the way, look, I'm sorry, you're not going to gaslight me into believing that this woman's attractive. Like, you can say, like I said, homophobic, transphobic, hate black women, whatever you're going to throw at me, you're not going to gaslight me into thinking that this woman's attractive.
Question.
She looks like a demon. Go ahead.
Did she just wake up in the real world out of the Matrix?
She looks like a reimagined corpse that just came down from the underworld.
But, she looks like she just woke up from the Matrix.
I just
no eyebrows, bald. I'm pretty sure she doesn't have a hair on her body.
She sounds like it in interviews too, so that's very spot on.
I don't understand. I don't understand why they chose her for this.
Oh, you know why? Come on.
Well, yeah, you know why.
Well, no, I mean, like when you tear back, like what Wicked is. Like, I read the book. I understand. I saw the musical to it. It was local theater, not the big production.
Mm-hmm.
But Wicked is not that bad. Like, it's like as far as like the story is, it's just kind of the Wicked Witch of the West explaining that, like, this is how I got here. It's not exactly intelligent. It's not graceful. I made a lot of stupid decisions. I'm absolutely full of myself. But you know what? It's this pig bitch's fault, not mine. And that's the gist of the story, is she won't own up to the dumb decisions that she made. Now this movie comes out.
So you're saying that this is about a woman not taking accountability for her own actions?
It's wicked. That's what it is. That's the whole story, is that the Wicked Witch of the West doesn't want to admit that she's the bitch that brought her own problems on herself. That's pretty much, that's what the musical is. But it's twisted in a way where you're like, oh, I feel bad for her. Oh my gosh. You know, imagine having to take responsibility. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. So, like, choosing this lady was very, well, you know what I mean? This lady is very strange because Alphaba is meant to be like a cocky sort of like, I'm in control kind of thing. She's only in this sympathetic kind of like, you know, oh, poor pitiful me thing when she's telling the story. That she's not supposed to be like this poor, pitiful, pathetic creature throughout. You're supposed to get the idea that Alphaba is like, you know, through my eyes, this is how it went. But now they're presenting it to you that no. Glenda was a horrible person the whole time, sucking the life out of Alphaba. All this stuff. Everyone was against her, and it was racism about the green skin. And it's just it blows my mind why they chose this lady for it, because she doesn't embody anything. And what have I heard? Her singing voice is terrible. So I don't understand why this person found a way.
Because that's the thing. Just what we saw with the Jaguar ad. This is who these people are trying to present to you as the new normal. People who look like this. It's like, we're gonna tear down traditional beauty standards, whatever the hell that means, and present people who look like this to you as if it's normal. And this is what the new standard of beauty is. And that's what the big reason why she was on here. But she's talking about essentially how this film, what was the thing here, bringing her black queer identity to the movie. Now, understand this, transposed to the Jaguar thing, the whole movie is playing up to this demographic, right? So, I mean, for what she's saying here is going to play up well to the demographic of this movie, because that's simply just how it works. It's the same thing that we saw with Barbie last year, too. It's like, if you're going to make a bunch of, like, strong feminist statements, well, guess what? Most of your target audience here is women. So this is who you're going to appeal to here in this context. But she went on to say here in London that this has been an amazing tour, but this has probably been the most amazing part of it. Talking about the premiere that was in London, her hometown, because once again, we're back in the UK. You're one of the first sets of people to come watch this film, and I wanted to say thank you personally. She kept her remarks short and sweet regarding the film. It says pink and green goes well together. Yeah, exactly right.
They do not. Whoa. Pink and green do not go well together. No.
We're talking about Bizarro. We're talking about Bizarro World here, though. Well, so if we're talking about the opposite of beauty, then she actually is making a correct statement there. Or maybe I don't know if she's there or not. Maybe she hasn't transitioned to that point yet. But the film did a global box office of 165. I believe the budget for this movie was like 250, somewhere in that range here. But it looks like it's going to tracking at least to break even. I don't know if it's going to make any well from that. It depends on how the second week goes. But from what I've seen, I will say this: from what I've seen, everyone and their mother was at the Moana screening tonight. So Moana might knock this film off, depending on how well received that one is. So we'll see how that one goes. But continuing here. Ariana Grande, who also looks like a ghoul who's actively dying. That's pretty much been like the entire like promotion of this movie. The two lead stars of this film look like they're actively dying. Like Ariana Grande looks like she's like 70 pounds, and people are like, is she a cancer? Like is she literally dying? Like what's going on?
She's playing double duty. She's playing Glenda and the Scarecrow.
Which is weird when you go to actually like watch the film and you go to see to what lengths like these two essentially have to transform themselves to look presentable like on screen, and then meanwhile like this is like what you're getting. So yeah, it's very, very odd. But what did she say here? She says that considering that Wicked is an allegory for arbitrary nature of racism and discrimination, there is something particular impactful about a character who is portrayed by a person of color who is admittedly aware of Rick, what's his name here?
Well, it's Alfaba, but I just say Alfalfa because I couldn't
say Alfaba.
I couldn't pronounce it. So I'll just keep saying Alfalfa. I just kept saying Alfalfa. It was easier.
That's right.
Here's the thing. To answer Schneider's question, it's right here. Why did they hire Cynthia Erivo for this role?
Ding,
That's
ding, ding,
why.
ding,
They
ding,
talk
ding.
about race without hiring a black woman, and not just that, an unattractive, bald black woman that anybody with the ability to get an erection would fail to, it just would fail to elicit that response. And so it makes it a complete, this soapbox for victims. People, I mean, the way you described it sounds like a victim narrative. It sounds like somebody who is a villain but wants to make it about them. And this is why I had to do this.
You remember Maleficent's movie?
I didn't watch it, but yeah, I do remember.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So in that one, her having her wings, she was apparently some winged demon goddess of the forest or whatever. Everybody loved her, whatever. And so the king, who is the father of Sleeping Beauty, shows up, and he takes her wings off, which is supposed to be symbolic of him date raping her. And so that whole story unfolds from there with her getting like revenge, and it's very coy and subtle because women are so smart and clever, you see. And so that was Wicked's original intent when it came out, and whenever it did, like before Maleficent, obviously. And so that was its original intent, was like, what if the Wicked Witch told the story of the Wizard of Oz from her perspective? And even the cover is her having this snarky smirk, hiding her eyes under the fucking brim of her goddamn hat. It is clearly that she's going to lie to you about this. It does everything to signal to you before you even open up the book that it's just her bullshitting you. But it's just one of those things where, like, I'm pretty sure if they sat down and they took something like Power Rangers, the first season or whatever, they would find some way to like twist it into some inherent racism thing. They tried to make it into autism, some autism discrimination thing with that 2017 movie. But even now, with like the Gap ad of a Power Rangers team, I guarantee you they'd be like, the height of racism is this floating head in the tube. It's fascism that he has a robot with a speech impediment.
That sounds about right, because that sounds about something stupid that they would do. But last quote from her here, she says that, I hope that it's the movie she's talking about here. I hope it's a bit of a love letter to everyone who feels different, who feels out of place, to all the black women who have walked in the rooms and felt like they weren't welcome. To anyone who walked into a room and felt like they haven't been welcome. I'm glad that they can be the conduit through which this character has been brought to the world. So yeah, she's basically saying that, I feel like I've been given this incredible gift of character who's I hate these damn Frenchy words.
Raison d'être.
Thank you. So is that the show? All of your difference to is what makes you special. That you can soar above anyone's expectation, and that you could be. By the way, this is a movie about a witch. Like, did anyone like?
It's
like
the first
highlight
part
that
of
one?
a 2-part movie, just for the record.
It's a 3-hour first part to a 2-part movie. So yeah. So I wonder
when
how
you
many
identify
people
as oppressed, you can, just do whatever you want. You just justify your own behavior. And see, that's a lot of where this victim stuff comes from. And you see this on Twitter a lot, where people will take an identity, black, gay, trans, whatever, and because they are X, they get to do whatever and say whatever they want and justify their own behavior. It's just completely immoral justification. And so there's no standard of behavior other than, well, I've been through this. It's like, look, most people have been through something and they don't allow it to turn them into a sociopath. So you can manage.
Yeah, and also what she's saying doesn't ring true about she doesn't represent black women. She's not a black woman. She's a fucking ghoul. All right. And if no one has realized this, black women have been pushing back on her online. She gets dragged all the time by black women because I don't know where she's from, but it's not from America. And apparently
she's from the UK. She's from the UK.
Yeah. And apparently she made some derogatory statements towards American-born black people or black women. And and it didn't go over well at all. So she doesn't have the black women following that she's trying to act like she does. So, that in itself makes her a phony. So, I just wanted to put that out there because, anyone who might be buying her bullshit about, this is for black women everywhere, everyone who felt bad, like they weren't welcome when they came into a room. Look, nobody gets the red carpet rolled out for them wherever they go. If that's what she's trying to say, she didn't pioneer the story of the misfit. The story of the misfit has been in Hollywood forever, a fish out of water. You know what I mean? She's no pioneer. She's a phony. My mom went to go see Wicked. I just visited with her. Just came back actually today. I was in New York, and she was showing me the playbill and everything. The character in the play, at least the one that she went to, I don't know, but it was played by a white woman, as was the original witch from The Wizard of Oz, which is one of my very favorite movies of all time. I watch it whenever I can. So they're just trying to flip the whole thing because not even the play was representing what she's talking about here.
Right.
So it's just a bastardization of the source material.
Isn't it Idina Menzel, Rick, who did the original with Kirsten Chenoweth?
Yes. She was the original. Yes.
Look at her. She's disgusting.
Was the first.
Well, both of them are. Like I said, the number one.
They make cameos in Wicked.
Yeah, of course it did. But no, the number one talking point on Twitter, like the weeks leading up to this, is like, are they literally dying? Because they both look horrific. Like people have legitimately been concerned that Ariana Grande is like actively dying, and then they have to look at like this chick too. So here's the video summary of this, and like I said, it's not great.
I was lucky enough to have a really understanding, glorious director in John Chu and a wonderful producer in Mark Platt, who sat and had conversations with me about what we wanted Alphabet to look like. And one of the first things I asked about was her hair.
Christmas nails.
Because I didn't want to.
It's almost like she has the nails of a witch.
I wanted to connect.
Or demon.
That movie Witches is kind of coming to mind.
Way to sort of nod to what was underneath the green.
I mean, she does look like a voodoo witch doctor, right? Like objectively. Like I'm just expecting her to have like a. I'm expecting her to have like a chicken with its head cut off, like shaking it when she's like singing curses at you.
I mean, she literally looks like one of those witches that Angelica Houston played in that movie Witches.
Isn't
she doesn't have her wig on or anything, man. Yeah,
she went out of her way to make herself look like a freak. She looks terrible.
She is a freak.
Isn't that the hat? Isn't that the hat that the lead guy from Home Alone was wearing?
Yeah,
it looks like
you even got the same hairstyle.
Yeah. Watch out, Ariana Grande.
And look, here's the other little dirty little secret about people like this too. These people look at themselves and they hate themselves when they look in the mirror, which is why they dress exactly like this. And then not only do they hate themselves and they refuse to accept what they look like in the mirror, they look like this and then point the finger at you and expect you to accept them for what they look like and who they are. It's like, no, I don't have to accept you. You don't accept yourself.
Well, I just wanted to throw this out there. She was talking about, black women not feeling welcomed in a room. Can you imagine, like, oh my God, guys, there's a black woman here. Hey, guys, there's a black woman.
I can only imagine, like,
holy shit.
Walking in with like a group full of Hispanics going like, adios mio.
Well,
right?
Now we know this is why Kamala lost, because America couldn't have a black woman walk into the Oval Office. And
right.
That's what they'll tell you, though.
That's the only reason
That's what they'll tell you.
It looks like she also can't walk into the halls of a church. She might burst into flames.
Just as a little side note, I did think it was funny when Dak Shepard was interviewing her, and he basically asked her, "How do you wipe with nails like that?" She got pretty uptight about it.
What was her answer?
DK, the
I
only
don't
thing
like.
is
She
not
played
wearing
it
a
off
big ass
just like-
weave.
Yeah, she just played it off like where it's like, oh, that's not a weird question.
Now,
like, everybody has that question. Blah, 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 blah.
I don't know. I mean, I would say that maybe it's just me thinking better of people than most of you, but I think Hollywood has corrupted her, because I actually remembered her
like everyone else.
Yes, I remember her from Harriet, when in the press screenings she looked, she looked all right. And she played the part very well. She wrote a very good song to go with it. Now, the next thing I saw her in was Pinocchio, and she looked something like this, except she was supposed to be the fairy. So I think she's not. This is not a good look. This looks rather scary. This looks like a witch-like. Maybe she got too much into character, but.
Or maybe she's an actual witch, because that's a thing in Hollywood now too. So I mean, maybe
I have no idea.
You mentioned how Hollywood has changed her and ruined her. Yeah, they seem to do that with a lot of people. It's almost as if everyone who becomes a big star there becomes physically and emotionally broken in some way, shape, or form that we probably can't understand, because who knows what's actually going on behind closed doors in that town. But we can pretty much assume that's probably not good.
Now, I will say
Man-made
that
horrors beyond our comprehension.
I have seen the movie. I don't know if anyone else here has. I did see the movie. I thought it was fine. I thought I'm more impressed by the production and the costuming than I was in the overall movie. And moreover, Michelle Yeoh just shouldn't even have bothered to try to be in this. I mean, she didn't sing, mercifully, but she did kind of talk the lyrics. I don't know why she needs to bring her black queer experience, because we're not going to go see Elphaba or Alfalfa as a black queer woman. We're going to see her as the future Wicked Witch of the West. And that's what she should be focused
objectively,
on.
yes. But like I said, the target demographic of this movie, even in the film itself, you mentioned that it does play up a lot to the LGBTQ community. So
it does, because I remember, I mean, when you have an hour into the movie, it was a very long movie, an hour into the movie, you have Prince Fiyero, and you have literally everyone making just these eyes at him, like all the women and the men, and is all focused on him. And I wonder why. I don't think everyone in Oz is gay, bi, what have you. It just seemed a little too exaggerated. Now I understand that this is very big among women. It's very big gay men. Let them have their own thing if they want. But again, I go back to this idea that she needs to bring the black queer female experience into this movie. I did not go see this. If I wanted to go see a movie about a black queer experience, I would see the one about the man, woman, transgender, transvestite person that threw the first
Transformers?
No, the first person that threw the rock at Stonewall. That I understand.
Decepticon?
Well, point being, she needs to understand that people don't pay to see her right now. They pay to see Elphaba and to see the story. She's part of it, but she's, even despite her 2 Oscar nominations, she's not a big name.
But put it to you this way, it's not a good sign when they dress you up to be a giant green witch and you look better in the movie than you look in real life.
Yeah. I just want to point out something real quick, is that a lot of times in interviews, press junkets, whatever, leading up to a movie, they'll actors will just start talking about a movie is, oh well, I think actually it deals with this issue very clearly, and then you watch the movie and it has nothing to do with it whatsoever. The example I can think of is Ad Astra with Brad Pitt and James Gray, and they said it was about toxic masculinity, and I was just like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And then I went to see the movie and it was like, really, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And I've seen this a couple times, really, the last couple of years, where in interviews they'll talk all this shit about what a movie, and it's like, you know, listen, while everything I've heard about Wicked, it has almost nothing to do with, has any racial aspect to it. She's a black woman, and people can read into that if they want to, but that's just, to me, that would be lacking in media literacy.
They read it.
You
They
don't
read
understand
into
what
it.
you're even looking at.
They read into it because everyone is horrified that she's green and everyone else is not green, because it's not easy being green.
But the witch is green. It has nothing to do with the race of the person.
Yes, but that, I guess that's how they draw into it. But they do have an appropriately Best Picture qualifying diverse cast. They do have, they have Asian, and they have black, they have disabled. They have, well, just saying.
Why is this more appealing than she is?
Oh gosh!
At this point,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure if you go,
would you stop at Rooftop? Would you stop it? I am neither. And I did not give any applause to Defying Gravity.
No. You know why? Because they're all gay. So you're going to have to define what makes one more gay than the other. But Grease is the gayest musical of all time.
Yeah.
No, Grease too.
Yeah.
It's very gay, and that's from gay people directly. So it's a good source.
Grease takes it because Wicked is white. No, again, Grease is a look at all the celebration of men's bodies in Grease, okay? It is you never see the ladies showing up like that, but Grease is all about showing them fellas off, all that they can do, all the flips and gymnastics and the tight pants they can find.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think Cabaret has a good shot of being that.
But the Wicked musical is like I said earlier, it's about a woman not taking responsibility for what she did. So all the songs are like these self-aggrandizing things that have sort of a hollow tone behind them. Even Defying Gravity is about her aggrandizing her ability greater than the others around her, even though Glenda travels around in a bubble.
She will take down the wizard in Defying Gravity, because he won't pull her down. He won't, no one will pull her down.
The last thing that I want to say is as we're ending November here, and I'm watching a lot of film noir. I love femme fatales because they're upfront with how evil they are. They tell you, this is who I am. Believe me. Instead of this kind of fake, I'm a victim of circumstance. Shut up, bitch. Oh, if you're gonna be a villain, own that shit. Own it. Don't say
it's been a long time. It's been a long time since villains were allowed to be villains. And I think even Roger Ebert said, he didn't like that idea. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but my sense is that he did not like the idea that you needed to have a background story. You needed to understand why they became evil. I think it was him who said, why can't a character just be evil because he or she likes being evil? I mean, that's the whole point. They actually want to be evil. They don't need to have a tragic backstory. They don't need to be, be sympathized with, because we do get all of that in Wicked. Like, she does have one redeeming quality, is that she's very protective, overly protective of her disabled sister. And before anyone says anything, that is how it was in the Broadway show, because the song lyrics do make mention about how she's in the chair. Though, as someone pointed out, I don't know how she became the Wicked Witch of the East. It flew around, as a disabled person, had the house fall on them. I don't know. All I can tell you is that, yes, we get this.
They weren't worried about those important details. Let's be honest.
They don't. I don't know if we need a sympathetic portrayal of the witch. We've had this. We had a sympathetic portrayal of Maleficent that you had already mentioned.
Well, just real quick, I think Cider might allude to this too. Like, and you're seeing this in a lot of Disney content recently with the whole Agatha thing. Like, I've noticed two trends here. One, there seems to be a lot of television shows and movies or recently that have been all about gay witches. Anyone notice this? Like, we saw it in Star Wars, we saw it in Agatha, we see it in this. I think there was like a fourth one that I'm blanking on right now, but this has been a common trend that they've been really pushing on us. Oh, yeah, exactly. Over the last few years. And then once again, like you said here, we're also doing this thing where we're turning every villain into a sympathetic good guy now, where it's like, oh, he wasn't really evil, he was just misunderstood, or she was just the victim of her circumstance, and blah blah. So it's like we're turning all the proven evil people into good guys while breaking down and tearing down the legacy of the hero characters and saying that no, they're actually bad, they're actually Batman's a fascist, don't you know? Like,
well, we've had this I want to say with Hannibal Lecter, when they did, was it Hannibal Rising, where they tried to make him sympathetic. He was a victim of
the prequel
by Nazis.
Yes. The kid? Yeah.
Yes.
Terrible
And,
movie, by the way.
and yes, it was. And then I think we had that also in a way with Bates Motel, where you got to see the rise of Norman Bates. Although it was a pretty good TV show. I was even a super fan.
But it could have been any other thing. That's the thing about the Bates shows, that it could have been Bates Motels. It could have been any other thing. Yeah. It did the part that it related to Norman had absolutely nothing to do with why that show was good.
Not until the last episode, and even then they had to pull back because they did not want a quote transgender person to murder Marion Crane. She actually got away. It was Rihanna was the guest star. She played Marion Crane.
It reminds me.
Away.
That was funny as shit when I said.
If you remember, reminds me, if you guys remember, like a year or two ago, they did that They Them horror movie on Peacock with Kevin Bacon, and it was a slasher movie. And then they realized, wait, everyone in the cast is either gay or trans. We can't kill all of them. So an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, none of the kids died, and then at the very, very end, they just killed all the camp counselors and ended the movie. It was like, what was even the freaking point if you didn't have the balls to actually kill someone just because they were a they them? Like, what was even the point?
Well, and that's why we're here with Wicked. We're stuck with this whole big ship.
I also blame Star Wars, because when they did the prequels, right? And actually, I was one of the people who loved the prequels, but I learned to love the prequels. When I first heard about it, I was very vocal about, why do we need this? Why do we need to go back to find out why Darth Vader became Darth Vader? Because they already explained it to us in the original trilogy, right? I mean, I wanted to see a sequel back then before Mark Hamill and them got too old. So I'm like, why are you investing all this money and time to do this damn prequel thing? But see, they went back, and it seems like ever since then, everyone has been obsessed with going back. You know what I mean? Like the concept has been out there for a while, but like many things, Star Wars made it popular to go back, to just keep going back. And we've been stuck in this. Star Trek, we want to go back. It's like, why do we keep going back? And also, why do we have to keep explaining why bad guys are bad guys? And I do see where a lot of that started in a popular way with the prequels, because Darth Vader he's the primo bad guy, So Darth Vader is that. So now everyone has this idea that, oh, he's a tragic figure. Okay, Luke saved him in the original trilogy and everything, but we didn't need to go back to see how it all happened, to play it out, to make him even more sympathetic. You know what I mean? Like, I ended up liking it. Revenge of the Sith is one of my favorite Star Wars movies, but I'm just saying, I noticed it after that. It just seemed like there was this obsession with doing that.
And it's like, just hearing you talk about that, it's like, what is nostalgia based in? Going back. I mean, I hate to say it, but the last 20 years of movie making in Hollywood has been, and maybe 20 is too long, maybe it's more like 15, but nostalgia, because they can't create anything new.
They were doing the Thunderbirds in the mid 2000s. Okay.
Well, then there you go.
Yep. And that's what we're looking at. And you're absolutely right. And this is a big thing that I talk about when we're going to do content creation, guys that want to talk about making comics, making video games, stuff like that, movies, whatnot. I tell them, it's you've got to get out of this mentality of what was before was better than what's to come. You've got to get out of the mentality of fan fiction writers. I wrote fan fiction for over 15 years, started when I was a little kid. And what you do in fan fiction is you find a little hole, and then you go in there and you pry that open, and you put your story right in that little hole, that little gap in the actual story. And that's the Acolyte. The Acolyte says, oh, okay, so this KOTOR time, this time 100 years before the Skywalkers, it's all very nebulous and not really well known to the mass audience that otherwise knows about the original 6 movies. We'll say the prequels are part of it. And so this situation unfolds where they stuff the Acolyte into a time frame where they can write whatever they want for the mass audience because they don't have a reference point. They only know the Clone Wars. They only know that Anakin was a bad guy. They only know that Darth Vader was Luke's dad. They only know that Luke wins in the end. That's all they know. They don't know about 100 years before Luke was born. So that's where they go and they do all this stuff. That's why we're going back, is because there are a bunch of fan fiction writers in Hollywood. There aren't script writers. There aren't story crafters. The whole concept of storycraft is completely gone in Hollywood. What they have is they have a bunch of number crunchers, and they say, well, Toy Story 5 made just enough money to justify making Toy Story 6, so let's do it. And then somebody says, well, let's just make a new property about toys. And then they put that person out of a window about the 6th floor up. And if they survive, it's up to them. But
yeah, like we just had Deadpool and Wolverine, all right? Insanely popular. People loved it for what it was and everything. And I would say that if you're a writer, you might want to challenge yourself. If you watch that and you like it, I mean, go figure. You might be able to come up with something new. You know what I mean? So with the elements that you saw there. But no, what do we get? We get an announcement. Deadpool and Wolverine 2 on the way. It's like, okay, so they're just going to rehash the same old thing. It's like, where is the inspiration? You know, where we are now, we should be having the most fucking awesome movies and stories that are being told because we have so much that came before us that sparked our imagination.
Yep.
You know, it's like I dare say that George Lucas, he came up with Star Wars after watching Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, you know, things like that. And he created something awesome. It's like, that's what you're supposed to do. It's like, if you're a new writer, you don't just go back and say, you know what? I bet I could take my shot at Star Wars and I can do a prequel so I can say that I did it first. Before Luke Skywalker, there was this bullshit. You know what I mean? And that explains why Luke Skywalker is the way he is. No, you're supposed to go from Luke Skywalker on to the next thing. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to see before I close my eyes for the last time. I want to see something awesome. You know, so I hear people.
Yeah, but how do we make that gay though? Because how do we make them gay and non-binary? That's the real question.
You're going to be stuck, Mark. You're going to be stuck with the lesbian space witches. All right, you're just accepting it.
But what Cider was saying about, like, you know, we got to stop looking back into the past. You know, at stuff. You know, I think you're talking more or less about IP, intellectual property, because I do this all the time, but I at least have an idea of how to adapt it today. You know, like, I'm obsessed with Westerns and film noir and studio movies of the 50s and the 1970s. But I'm talking about, like, independent, you know, creative visions, not necessarily a franchise property or intellectual property.
Mr. Moto.
So, but yeah, it's just, you know, I do that all the time, but it's because those people knew how to tell stories and they could do it over and over again, and they could change it just enough where they knew how to sell it.
The Japanese have an incredibly unique way of doing this, and I've studied it for probably about 5 years now. I'm slowly getting my head wrapped around it, but they don't obey genre. And that appears to be the key to being able to take a time-old tale like King Arthur and turn it on its head completely and turn it into a tournament anime where people are fighting other kings. You know, ancient kings are risen from the Arthur's a woman for whatever reason. And that's that kind of, we don't obey genre thing. We're going to mash this stuff up together. The West doesn't do that. The West says, it's a cowboy movie, got to have horses, got to have a gunfight, got to have some fella dying out in the sunset. They don't deviate. They don't think to. Well, we got a really cool idea for the new RoboCop reboot. This is a cool idea. He's got to have a human hand in order to kill people, you see. Otherwise, the machine's killing people, and that's illegal. That's a total twist. People aren't going to see it coming. It's like, what? That was their big idea for RoboCop. He's got to have a human hand.
Yeah.
Great. Good job.
Well, let's move
Yeah.
on to a lighter, more fun story here. Conor McGregor lost a civil suit for rape, and as a result of this, he ended up getting booted from the Hitman game. So Conor McGregor, the you can argue is the most popular MMA fighter ever. I mean, he's a guy who back in his heyday would main event shows and it would do like 1.2 million buys or something like that, and a live gate of like $20 million. He was super, super popular. Then he fought Floyd Mayweather, got a whole bunch of money. Then he sold liquor for a little bit, and now he's just a cocaine mess. Like that, he really. You see all videos of him recently. He's clearly high on coke, high on booze. He's hitting on women. He's cheating on his wife. He's just like he's an absolute mess of a human being.
Now,
And
is it going to run his chances to be president of Ireland?
it might improve it actually. I mean, it is Ireland, so you gotta look at it from that perspective as well.
They're not
But yeah,
that bad over there.
yeah. So here's a little video of him in the recent Hitman video game. This is a DLC that they released earlier this year, which features Conor McGregor in the role of someone who you can kill. So, by the way, the whole point of this video game is that you find strategic ways to kill people in, like, you know, Hitman, Illuminati type fashion.
Nice.
That out in the open.
For you.
Mm-hmm.
Of course you are. Ah, finally. You got my
I did not know what a
A
shirt is.
lamp-eyed water, I believe.
That's what he looks like.
With pleasure, sir.
My favorite part is he poured that drink and it kept filling up after he put the bottle.
Target has been
pretty good.
eliminated. Find an exit. Your money is being transferred now.
They didn't teabag him. Is that Conor McGregor right there?
Yep.
I thought that was someone from Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
If you look at the game here, so in this mission of the game, he just so happens to be going to a private party held by select individuals from secret societies and secret, economies and whatnot, and they're all maxed up, and he has to go and find and kill the person who they call the fighter or the disruptor is his name here. So they find all kind of creative ways to get in the cage and fight Conor and kill him and whatnot. So basically what happened here is that there was a civil suit about a woman last week that he was found in a high court in Dublin, Ireland, who accused him of rape. He then got civilly sued. Then they said that he's now responsible for paying her about $260,000 after losing the case against him. Now that they're trying to frame it, it's like, oh, now he's a convicted rapist. It's like, well, he's not a convicted rapist. It wasn't a criminal trial. It was a civil suit. So he found guilty of a civil charge here. But as a result of this, they've essentially dropped him from the video game here. They went on to say that, first and foremost, players will be tasked with taking down the disruptor, the mysterious millionaire MMA fighter. This is obviously based on Conor McGregor here, from the Secret Art Society, which is an organization of the world's wealthiest and most influential individuals. I think the subcontext of this game here is basically this, is that there's a secret shadow government that's controlling the world, and you have to essentially kill their operatives and the ones who are going against them. So it's basically like a war going on like behind closed doors, which I'm pretty sure doesn't actually happen in real life. That's just a crazy conspiracy theory. But
sure.
IO released a statement saying this: in light of the recent ruling against Conor McGregor, IO Interactive has made the decision to cease its collaboration with the athlete effective immediately. We take this matter very seriously and cannot ignore its implications. Coincidentally, we also begin to remove all content featuring Mr. McGregor from our storefronts starting today. So if you try to get this DLC online right now, you cannot find it because they removed it from the store. So I think only the people who have already bought it now have access to it. So they're trying to do the moral thing of showing what great people they are, because they can't have a alleged convicted rapist a part of their murdering games, because that's a bridge too far. So we'll get here even further into the lore of Conor McGregor just being an absolute mess of a human being here, but I'll go ahead and start this one off with you here, Cider. What's your take on Mr. Conor here getting removed from the Hitman games? Do you think that was the right move given what happened?
No, I think this is what happened with Elon. He was Conor McGregor was in one of those Hollywood beat 'em up movies recently. It was just an absolute
Roadhouse.
snotball.
He was
Roadhouse.
terrible.
Yeah, and he was absolute snotball in it.
He was basically
And,
Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Conor McGregor in Roadhouse, and that's Vin Diesel and Bloodshot. But anyway, what we got out of him is that he was all right. They wanted him around. They didn't have a problem with him. He was getting brand deals. There wasn't any effort to make him a Alex Jonesian type of person. Then he said he wanted to run for president of Ireland. All of a sudden, this person who has a problem with him comes out of the woodwork, and the courts in Ireland that are notoriously a little bit tilted decided, you know what, Mr. McGregor, you're not going anywhere. You're going to enjoy a nice little cancellation. Sit down and enjoy yourself. And that's what they did to him. They ran him out on a rail, and now he's ruined. He's not going to come back from this. They've ruined his fight thing, by the way. He was trying to start a new fighting thing to compete with the UFC, so that's done. There's no way anybody's going to go to work for the guy that got convicted for rape, whether he did or not. And so that's over with. So Keemstar's got a better chance of starting a competitor to UFC now.
Okay, but honestly, has anybody seen what the woman looks like? They couldn't find a more attractive woman to try to smear this man with. That's my biggest problem with all of this. I know I didn't know about the Ireland thing, so that makes it a little more understandable, like him running for president, getting smeared. But
yeah,
the woman, it's just like, I'm sorry, Conor McGregor's not a man who would struggle to procure female attention. So I just, the whole thing just kind of smells bad, and the fact that it was civil and not criminal is just like, there's. I mean, that should be a red flag to anybody that's followed these cases in America. I mean, I don't know too much about European laws, obviously, with what they need to convict or find you, financially liable. But I mean, we already know about, if you guys have been following, people being arrested for basically free speech violations, basically just might be a little colorful in saying that they don't want, certain immigrants around, and that's just what Americans know is free speech. So the UK is a mess anyway, in terms of what their rights are and their courts. So I'm not surprised, but it's kind of shameful, unfortunately. But he seems to be a character, kind of a wild man, and people positively or negatively are drawn to him. You know what I mean? So I don't really take him seriously. You know what I mean? As a person, but he does seem to have a following.
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of context here. A couple of notes. Conor McGregor is a maniac. He is an absolute crazy person. I don't think there's any justification there. Secondly, this isn't the first time they've tried to get him on sexual assault. Now, look, I'm not saying that he probably didn't have sex with these women. I'm pretty sure that he did. If you remember, there was a case, I think a year or two ago, where they were at a Miami Heat game. And I think it was one of the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe a year or two ago. And there's a video of him going into a bathroom with a woman, and there was security around him to kind of cut off anyone there from going in. And then she tried to claim after the fact that he raped her in the bathroom. And then it was given the context of them going in and both going out, there was no way there was going to prove any rape here whatsoever. But here's what I would say. This is probably a good lesson for you men out there to not just fall into every honeypot that you can find here, because there are women out there who will sleep with you and then try to extort you after the fact. And if you refuse to go along with their extortion plan, then they will say that, oh, he sexually assaulted me in an attempt to try to ruin your reputation. There are women out there who do that all the time, especially when they know that the person who they're sleeping with has a lot of money. There's a whole industry in South Beach about women getting plastic surgery to do butt implants and breast implants just because they're trying to essentially trap a young NBA player who may be their next baby daddy or whatever the case may be. So this stuff does happen, right? At the same time, Conor McGregor's absolute coked up mess here. Here's a short clip of him in a fight. I think this is either in Saudi, or I want to say this is probably in Saudi, but yeah, this is a quick little clip of him there, and you can tell that he's an absolute wild man.
Oscar Willis has balls like a Bengali tiger. Fucking big juicy balls as Oscar Willis at a immaculate got. And he's fighting Ben Davis. Fair fucking play to Ben. He's outsized. And Oscar, he's in home territory, so he's up against it. But Oscar's coming for the goal, baby. Let's go, Oscar Willis to the mic.
All right, so Conor McGregor was having the time of his life this past weekend at the BKFC's event in Marbella, Spain. And the first clip that I want to talk about here is his interview that he did on Misfits Boxing Channel. First off, McGregor hyping up Oscar Willis from the Mac Life fighting Ben Davis from Misfits by saying that Willis has big juicy balls like a Bengali tiger is insane. The way that he holds up his hands in the air as he says it makes me laugh every single time I've watched this clip. But lo and behold, Mystic Mac strikes again because his boy Oscar absolutely demolished Ben Davis when they actually got in the ring together. Then he had this to say about wanting to box KSI of all people, which, Jesus Christ.
Let's go.
Any messages for KSI?
I'll fight him for that bullshit song he released alone. I'll fight him for that fucking song alone. Dave Fogarty, here we go. We're back, baby. The richest motherfucking photographer in the game, baby. Hey, that man. Yeah, get that man more magic.
I mean, hey, I don't disagree that KSI's new song is terrible, but the day that McGregor to be pretty yacked out this
so then this is another scene from him at the same. But now keep in mind, he's with his fiance because they're not actually married, even though I think they have 2 kids. But he's with his fiance, and he's basically sexually harassing a woman right in front of his fiance here. This is the video from the same event.
Oh my god, the level of cringe in this clip is so damn high. First, you can see that Hart herself was not happy with him yanking on her hair out of nowhere. I feel like you can kind of see her looking back annoyed at whoever just grabbed her, but then she notices it's her boss, so she plays it cool for a little bit, and then she maneuvers herself to the side so that he can't do it again. And then, of course, Dee motions to Conor to cut that shit out, and then literally steps in between them because she's clearly pissed at him for acting like a little bit of a weirdo right in front of her.
And this one was probably the funniest one of them all because Conor goes rogue and basically says, you know what, we're going to double everyone's pay here tonight, even though their organization clearly does not have. Well, he has the money to do so, but I don't think their organization does. So here's the last little clip.
We're going to do bonuses, yes, for both these gentlemen, as well as a multitude of other people that fought on this card. But what we're going to do for these 2 gentlemen, as well as a bonus, is double the purse. They're getting double pay. That's it straight. Well done, gentlemen. You're getting double pay and bonuses.
I mean, hey, you.
And then meanwhile, the money guy's sitting there. It's like, I didn't agree to that. So yeah, you can tell just from those short clips alone that he's an absolute wild man. Look, he was supposed to fight Michael Chandler earlier this year in an event in July. That event got canceled. Not the event. The fight got canceled about 3 weeks before they were supposed to do their media tour. No one said exactly what happened. It was alleged that Conor had an injury, but they've never tried to reschedule it since. And everyone's pretty much been assuming that the reason why he's not fighting is because he can't pass a drug test. Like if he tries to go to the athletic commission in Nevada or New York, wherever the case may be, he's going to test positive for God knows what, steroids, cocaine, whatever the case is, and then he'll have his license revoked. So that's why the UFC is not pursuing a fight with him, knowing that would probably draw, like he said, about 1, maybe 1.5 million buy rates just by him being there. But he's just an absolute mess of a human being, and it just goes to show you that, you know, everyone wants to be, you know, this super rich billionaire who can, you know, buy up all the things and have all the things that he wants. And for some people, it absolutely destroys them. And Conor McGregor is probably a great example of that. Go back and watch videos of him like 10 years ago before he got super rich and super famous, and now look at him now. And like I said, he got all his money from boxing and alcohol. He's just absolute drugged up mess. So Mark, what's your take on the Conor McGregor situation here?
Yeah, he got what's coming to him. You know, I just think that unfortunately you're right. You know, when you live a life of excess and you're a straight male, you have to be like really a superior human being to fight the temptation and urges and excesses that are around you. You know, everybody's saying yes, so you can't tell yourself no. You know, every light is green, so you just keep going. And, you know, sooner or later, what happens when you keep running lights? I mean, you're going to crash, you know? So I think that we've seen this over and over again in the industry, and this is just another example of that. You know, you end up losing everything because you can't reel yourself in, you know? So, you know, that's what I see. I mean, if a dude is, you know, pulling on a chick's hair and his fiance is standing right there, that tells me you're not in control at all. You know, and it's a scary thing because I don't think the majority of us straight males would have like we like to think that we would, but if you're in a situation where you have everything in front of you, everyone is giving you everything, and yeah, man, it's a recipe for disaster. I don't think men were made to live that way.
Nope. Yeah, like I said, it'd be the signal for your, be the of your own downfall there. People think that, oh yeah, having all the money and all the women and all the drugs and all the things would be my best life. And it's like, yeah, you say you want to live in the fast lane. It has dire consequences, unfortunately, and you're seeing that here as well. So any final takes on this story before we move on to our closer?
I think that Conor McGregor needs to lay off the cocaine.
Yeah, well, good luck with that one, because even the UFC can't get him to lay it off.
He's a shameful Irish. He brings shames to all of us.
Bro, we just had a dude throw himself out of a window, the One Direction guy or whatever.
Oh yeah.
It's another example of that, man. Who knows what was going on with him? I mean, the industry is a very extremely scary, demonic place right now. I just saw the story. They said that talk show host Wendy Williams has been deemed irreversibly incapacitated at 60 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She's had health problems for the last decade or so, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
Jeez, I
but
remember when that woman was dancing to her own show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, looking at what's been going on with the whole Diddy thing, which is something I've been looking at for a very long time. It's like there's just something and she was in the middle of all of that. She was trying to blow the whistle on that for a while. But there's just so much wrong that's going on with this, and nothing is exactly what we think it is. Nothing is what meets the eye right now with the industry.
I'll say a quick note on
to hell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, we have to start asking ourselves who's actually running this industry, and who knows, it may be the guy in the Bible that everyone talks about. But the thing about Wendy Williams is that, while I wouldn't surprise me at all if there was something more nefarious going on behind the scenes too, you also got to keep in mind that this is a woman who quite literally made her entire career off of gossip and hearsay and talking about personal things about other people's families being drugged out into the public. That's literally how she made her bread and butter in New York for many years here. So it's sad. I'm not going to sit here and celebrate it, but at the same time, there is an old saying, you reap what you sow. And now she's the figurehead of, embarrassing public displays going out there. And as I said, it's not, oh yeah, great, finally happened to win. It's sad, but at the same time, I mean, that's how you made your fortune up to this point. So same thing with Conor McGregor. It's going to come back at you eventually. Like you're going to enjoy it now. You have a great time now, but eventually you will reap what you sow. And everyone's going to figure out that lesson the hard way, unfortunately. So,
right.
Well, final thing we'll talk about here is Captain America. I know it seems like we've seen this like every 3 weeks now, but the story just keeps changing. More reshoots for the film. So this is a movie that the last time we covered this, I think like 2 weeks ago, when they said that they were going back for more reshoots, the budget for this film was already nearly $400 million production-wise for the reshoots of this movie. And apparently, after failing yet another test screening, this is the third confirmed failed test screening that this film has had. Remember, this was supposed to come out like earlier this year. I think it was supposed to even come out last year at one point, but thanks to a third failed test screening, they are now trying to rework the movie again. There's rumors that they may even try to rework the ending to this movie again. This is a movie that's supposed to come out in February. So this is how close we are to this movie coming out. I want to see how many times it's been pushed back just real quick. If I can get to, here it is. So this is a movie that was supposed to be a release back on May 3rd of this year. It got pushed down to July 26th of this year, and it's been pushed again to February 14th of next year. And who knows if it gets pushed back again. Like, the movie theaters are already putting out all the promotional stuff for this film. They got the big posters and boards all over the place. It's like, I don't know how many more times they're going to have to like move back of this film till they realize that, hey, look, this thing is over. Like, this thing is dead. Like, just stop. But Captain America Brave New World is going in for even more reshoots again. Juan Carlos Esposito talked about this a couple weeks ago, saying that he was going back to film some more stuff, and apparently the reshoots are even more extensive than we initially realized. There's a new rumor now that the Brave New World is set to be recut again due to failing another test screening. and that it could even end up changing the ending to this film as well. And it says that our guy here, Daniel Richmond, who's has a lot of MCU and Disney related scoops here, is basically saying that Captain America: Brave New World is currently being changed due to another negative test screening. It's unclear whether it will include another batch of reshoots or simply re-editing, but as we confirmed last week, they are going back to retouch up some more stuff. So who knows if this means that they're gonna have to like sit in a room and recut all the footage that they've already shot and try to copy and paste something here together again. But like I said, this is the third time now that they've tried this. And keep in mind, they reshot this film over the summer, and that was supposed to fix all the problems with this movie. When they went back over the summer to do several months of extensive reshoots, it was supposed to fix all of the problems. And then they did another test screening, and it was basically just as bad as the first one. So they pretty much wasted their time over the summer reshooting this, and they still have to fix it again here. It says unclear that the negative test screening mentioning was reported by Rummy, but he's basically saying here that audiences rejected 2 different cuts of Brave New World. So essentially they were having, my guess was 2 different endings to the film, and both of them got rejected. So it wasn't even like one of those situations where it's like, well, maybe audiences will play up better to this version than the other one. Both of them got rejected. They got egg on their face. This whole thing is a disaster. I mean, like I said, $400 million already invested into this film, just production. They haven't spent a dime on marketing this movie yet. We're at a point now with all these reshoots, they're probably going to have to make about $1.2 billion worldwide just to see a profit. And you have to understand, this is a character that nobody likes and nobody asks for. We've been telling people for 10 years in the comic books, nobody likes Black Captain America. Anthony Mackie is not a box office name by any stretch of the imagination. He's the guy running this entire show. We've all heard all the rumors about what's going on with Blade behind the scenes, and that movie's now officially been canned. That's probably never going to see the light of day. At some point, Disney's just going to have to eat whatever they spin into this film and be like, no, what, just don't release it at all. Like, I get it, that they're a corporation, they need to get their money back, but at a certain point, it's like, bro, you gotta let it go. Like, if you're being rejected this many times, the movie sucks. So either just redo the entire movie, which you probably can't do because you already invested too much money, or just say, hey, you know what? We're done here. We're going to wash our hands with it. We'll eat the $400 million that we lost, and we're going to move on. And that's it. And this is where we are now. Again, we're failing upwards with this movie. And Mark, I'm going to start here with you. The Blade disaster, this movie is a disaster. The Thunderbolts, I mean, no one's looking forward to that movie, if we're being honest with ourselves here. Everything that's going on with the MCU specifically, it's like, at what point do people just start getting fired? Because if they were failing this badly with a $400 million production, it's like, keep in mind, take you back to a time in the past. Remember the movie Home Alone? Remember when Fox shut down that movie because they were like $2 million over budget and they didn't feel like it was worth spending any more money on, so they shut down the entire production until it was bought out down the line. We're at $400 million now with this movie. Is there any shot that they have of making a dime with this movie, Mark?
Absolutely not. And until they change their business plan of this whole DEI thing, because unfortunately this is a victim of that. Falcon should have been his own character. There shouldn't have been any rush to have him put on Captain America's tights, his underwear, but this is what they're doing. You know what I mean? The reason why they can't get Blade right is because they want to try to do Lady Blade. It's like they want to keep this agenda thing going. They failed to read the room. Nobody wants to see this stuff anymore. It is not because it's a Black character or a woman character or a gay character. It's a sucky character. And until they can figure out how to do true, human, well-written characters who are deep and engaging and fun to watch, they're going to fail. And they have no investment in doing that as long as they have this Black Captain America talking about, you have to do better, Senator. I'm a Black man in America. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody goes to a Marvel movie to hear that. You know what I mean? Nobody ever picked up a comic to read that. And they're not understanding that. And until they do that, until they understand that, they're just going to keep getting L's over and over and over again. It didn't have to be this way. All they had to do, and I talk about with Black Panther, I talk about that all the time too. You had a true to life legacy Black superhero, the very first Marvel superhero, and you killed him off screen. so you could have a woman step into it. That's how they keep ruining these things. And we're the problem because we keep trying to tell them this. But just like with the Kamala Harris thing, you know, with all of the things that she had going wrong, you're just a racist. You're just a sexist. And I'm going to die on this hill. I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. There's no other reason, you know? And that's the problem. They don't want to hear what the people are saying, but then they want to try to sell us this shit. So then they blame us when nobody goes out to see it.
Yeah. I just don't know, because you have to think to yourself too. It's like that's probably another big part of it. Like they wanted to move forward with the marketing of this film and be like, oh, all these hateful incel people got a problem with Black Captain America, and that's the reason why this thing is failing. That's why it's getting negative attention. When you fail 3 test screenings consecutively, there's no way you could spin this to be like, oh, they're just racist. They just don't like a black man. It's like, no, you failed 3 consecutive test screenings after massive reshoots on every single one. That means your movie sucks. And there's no draw into getting people into a movie to watch this film, because all they've heard is the fact that this film keeps failing test screenings, which means that the movie is not good. So it's a $400 million movie that you're going to have to spend $150, $200 million to promote. And the only buzz about the movie is about how bad it is and how it has to constantly be fixed. Like, this is a disaster.
Well, all you guys are way more invested in this than I am, to be fair. I left more than a decade ago. Well, to be fair, it's not quite a decade yet with Age of Ultron, but pretty close. And so I think this is a great Schadenfreude moment. I'm really enjoying the failure of Disney and sort of their recycled playbook of bullshit. Because I mean, we're long divorced from even making superhero comic book movies. Now it's just the remnants of whatever the hell the MCU is now. So you know, this is just what happens. You don't have good ideas, you keep doubling down on them, you spend more and more money on crap that people don't want, and you're going to get what you deserve. You're going to get another monumental failure at the box office. So, you know, bad business gets rewarded by people not showing up in a free market, and that's what's going to happen. So, you know,
well,
maybe they'll regroup one day, but it does not look good currently with the things they're putting out.
Again, I think all of us have been tired of saying the same thing, that for most people, this thing ended with Endgame, and now they're just trying to keep this going, and there's very little interest, coupled with the fact that you put in TV shows. I'm sure that the people who know more about the character probably saw Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I've never seen the show. And then what is it? The Winter Soldier, Bucky's going to be in that Thunderbolts thing. I was like, that's not going to be appealing to me. I saw the trailer and was like, I really don't care. All these secondary characters, they're just trying to just keep milking this property for profit. No one's interested. Now, this whole thing about the race, I'm curious. Are we saying that all the test audience who saw this, the 3 test audiences that saw this, all of them without failure just were made up of these thoroughly racist people? That's an absurdity. I don't think that you could find all of them rejecting something for race in the same way that I think Mark was saying that nobody, not every single person that voted did not vote for Kamala Harris was saying, oh, because I'm not voting for her because she's a woman. Oh, I'm not voting for her because she's black. I think people just don't like this property or don't care anymore. I don't know if they like it. They just don't care. But it goes back to what I've said constantly. It's the writing. No, there's never been a script. From what I can tell, there's never been a script. If you can change this movie so many times, there's never been a script. There's never been someone in charge to oversee everything. There's been no real producer. It's just been, well, we'll just throw all of this and people are going to still love it, because talk about living in the past. The people who are making this movie are still living in the past of the MCU heyday, where they think everything MCU related is going to sweep in. But we do have a solution. There's a solution to all of this. Bring in Harry Styles from Eternals, and he will save the MCU. Put him in there. Put him as Thanos' brother.
And that's the other problem, right? Because but like they're still talking about trying to do an Eternals 2. Why? That film was a flop and no one liked it. Why? Like, in all honesty, it's kind of sad that Deadpool Wolverine was actually a success, because I think that in Marvel's minds, it's like, oh, we got our second win now. We're going to move forward. It's like, no, you see all the movies that I got planned over the next few years. No one cares about those films.
No,
like, no, you have You have Thunderbolts, which is the next one after Captain America. You have Fantastic Four, which comes out next year. That's if there's no delays with that one. And then you have to bring back Robert Downey Jr. to play Doctor Doom in your next Avengers movie that's supposed to come out in 2 years.
One of the few things about Deadpool that worked was it making fun of the MCU. And the reason that worked was because the audience recognized how redundant it has become. And so I just think that as much as that movie made a lot of money, and I'm sure they'll make another sequel and make a lot of money, it's like you're running out of room. You're running out of room where you got this one successful thing that is really becoming, I mean, it was successful before then, but the fact that was an element of this latest movie is really telling.
It wasn't successful because of its connection to the MCU. It was successful because people, for whatever reason, really love the character of Deadpool and enjoy the persona that Ryan Reynolds created with it. That's the reason it was successful. It had nothing to do with the MCU. It had nothing to do with its connections to the MCU, and I'm not even sure what the connections were, because Wolverine's not connected to the MCU so far. The Human Torch was not connected.
Well, basically, it was the first movie since they spent like $70 billion on Fox to showcase the Fox characters in the timeline of the MCU. That's basically the whole draw was. But even in the isolated, it really didn't have much to do with the actual MCU itself. It was basically saying goodbye to the Fox era of those characters. Like, that's really what it was.
Yeah, so it wasn't because it was, oh, this is the MCU movie, people were rushing to see it. They were rushing to see a character that they like and that I find insufferable, but that's neither here nor there. They just rushed off to see Deadpool, the character that they like. They didn't rush off to see, oh, the latest installment of the world's longest and most expensive soap opera, because they haven't. There's, I mean, what is a call for an Ant-Man 4? Where's the call for more Marvels? Where's the call for the young Avengers? Isn't that another show that's supposed to come up? Are people that desperate to see more adventures of Riri Williams, Ironheart? I mean, no one cares.
Well, I think what Rob was saying too is that there was something to be said for the self-awareness of it, where it was a running gag in there where he called himself, what do you call himself? Marvel Jesus or MCU Jesus or something like that. Like, they were aware of what Marvel, the current state of Marvel or the MCU. So, I know when I saw the trailer, that did make me chuckle a little bit, to know this wasn't your average MCU thing, but they're bringing him into the MCU, but it's the character of Deadpool to be able to spoof the MCU. So there was a little bit of a refreshing element that came from that, so I'm not saying that was the main selling point, but that's part of why we do love the character, which is what you're saying, because the character has that liberty to be able to do that. So, that is part of what made it a little bit more enjoyable as well. It wasn't the average MCU thing because he's able to laugh at the MCU. You know what I mean? So, I think that played a part in it. But also, it's not just the superhero fatigue part of it where we're just tired, they ran out of ideas. Like I said, they've hijacked these characters to do what it is that they want to do with them politically. They had the majority of the original Avengers come out to do a spot for Kamala Harris, for example, where they all just came out. They chose a side, just like Mark Hamill, when he told half of the Star Wars audience to go force yourself. That's a problem. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are just like, we're done with this. It's like, you have no use for us because of whatever thing we do in the real world, and you're representing a fantasy property. It's not supposed to be that way. You know what I mean? If I love the MCU, if I love Captain America, Iron Man, the Hulk, the original Avengers, I shouldn't have them, in the name of the Avengers, come to me and tell me who to vote for you know, or Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker talking about you're the Empire, you know, if you're voting this way, you know, that's wrong, you know, and that's what they're determined to do. You know, you have to accept homosexuals, homosexual lifestyle. You have to accept, you know, trans. You have to accept this. Otherwise, don't see our movies. You know, if you're a music lover, I don't want you at my concerts if you don't do this. This is where we are now. And then they wonder where the pushback is coming from, why we have no use for these people. You know, but they have to read the room, because for all of the celebrity endorsements and everything like that, people just went the opposite direction. And now everybody's like, how did this happen? We don't want to be preached to.
One of my biggest criticisms of the MCU and movies like this, I mean, this goes back to the original Avengers, is that it's sort of, the way I saw it was that it poses as a sort of neoliberal propaganda of like the sort of authoritarian heroes saving the day from the scourge of the alien invasion. And it's just been this kind of militarized sort of acceptance of, you know, power over our lives. And so I just, you know, it's whatever, we've reached the end line now. We've reached the end where it's like, we see that, oh, they're just acting as a propaganda arm for, you know, the people in power, for the powers that be. And so I don't know, it becomes this sort of hollow thing where it's like these people that are supposed to be representative of heroes who really are supposed to tell you to think for yourself are like heavy-handedly telling you, if you vote for this candidate, you're voting for Thanos, basically. And so it's like, and I just want to mention something really quick. Ben Stiller was asked about Tropic Thunder, if it could get made today. It's like Ben Stiller, Robert Downey Jr., all these people that are associated with it who are like, oh, we care about comedy and all. No, you don't. You're telling people who to vote for. You're a fucking asshole. And by the way, any comedian who is going to tell you what to value ideologically is somebody you do not need to listen to. So that's all.
And there's the problem, bro. The most extreme example of that is that Superman can no longer say, I fight for truth, justice in the American way. Like there's something wrong with that. You know what I mean? There's something deeply wrong with that. And that's what we have to push back on. It's just not right. How is that wrong?
Oh, they already pushed back on that. When people heard him saying that or heard them pushing that, it's a better tomorrow or whatever. They're like, no, we prefer truth, justice, and the American way. You can either, or if you change it, we are walking away. And they only just learned that, well, people are actually starting to mean what they say when it comes to, we're going to boycott or we're not going to do something or this and that. That's the problem with all of the main MCU right now is dead because they forgot what MCU stands for. It's a Marvel Cinematic, meaning you go to the cinema, the theaters to watch these movies. Unfortunately, the stuff that they are making now into movies was birthed from a stupid ass Disney Plus show, which is required viewing when it comes to these things. It's like, who the hell are these characters? And why haven't I heard of them? And why is what's his name suddenly Captain America without any sort of hero's journey whatsoever, unless they watched the show? And I'm sorry, I will never accept Anthony Mackie's Falcon America because one, that dude sympathized with terrorists in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. He completely sympathized with them. It's like Captain America, for one, was a very rigid character. He was one that did not compromise ever. If something is wrong, he stood against it. And he knew that terrorism, for one, was wrong. You wouldn't, or it's like, look, yes, we know you're displaced, but what you did is wrong. I'm sorry, you're going to have to pay for it. No, you don't freaking defend them after the terrorists are dead. You don't freaking try shaming people after the terrorists are dead. You don't freaking try shaming people simply because, oh, you look different, yet you're wearing the Stars and Stripes. Guess what? That shit's been going on since World War II. A bunch of black people were in World War II, and they fought along all the white people as well. And yet they're trying to say that a black Captain America is somehow polarizing. Get the fuck out of here. You're them going back with the reshoots over and over. They just don't fucking get it. People are sick and tired of them pushing the nonsense narratives. Okay, we're going to reshoot it this way. We're going to reshoot it that way. We're going to make Trump look like, or we're going to make Ross look like he's some sort of Trumpian fucking character. Well, maybe if you stopped putting realism or real life themes into these movies, people would actually like them. People go to the theaters to escape. Escapism. Entertainment is about escapism, folks. Except that Hollywood didn't like the results of 2016, so they decided to punish the people who voted for Trump, which was the majority of the people at the time. Well, now it is the majority of the people. He won the popular vote this time. But the thing is, they decided to go on this campaign. It's caused Hollywood to lose over $16 billion, I believe, in revenue losses from 2016 to now.
Yep.
They've lost over $16 billion because they kept on pushing stupid shit. People kept on saying, we're bored with this crap. You've lost the older audiences. My father, I talked with him back in 2018, 2019, and 2020 actually. He's like, yeah, we're no longer in theaters. These movies are boring. It's just way too preachy. And we just want to see a good movie. And I'm like, oh yeah, all right, I will. Or he's like, maybe you should do a video on that. And I did a while back. But the point is with Captain America, Brave New World, they kept on, or it's like, first off, you screwed up with New World Order. Then Brave New World. Then you had politicians mirroring that speech, which only made it polarized even further. And then you made Falcon and the Winter Soldier required viewing for understanding this movie. They don't understand how business works.
Real quick, I think it was Neo Zoic that asked this earlier. Somebody mentioned it, saying that you think part of the reason for the reshoots was the fact that, they were going to make some kind of allegory of Red Hulk being Trump or Harrison Ford being a Trump character. And it's like, if that's the case, that's your own damn fault. That's what you get for trying to make a political statement against a presidential candidate before the election actually happened. Like, they tried to be timely, thinking that, oh, Trump is going to lose or he won't even be around that time period. So we can have this movie be out and it'll be all negative against Trump and it's going to be out. It's going to be a great timing for us. And then basically they saw how the election went and it's like, oh my God, this is actually not working out. Now, I wouldn't say that's the full reason, because like I said, they've been trying to fix this movie for well over a year now, and the audiences they keep showing it to, which, like I said, test screening audience, they pretty much choose those people, people who they think that they can trust, and they're the ones that keeps crapping all over it. So I just think the movie's just absolute dog shit. And like I said, people crapped all over Batgirl because Warner Brothers spent $90 million on that, and they said, yeah, we can't release this. We're done. We're scrapping the whole thing and never going to see the light of day. And people shit all over them for it. Imagine if Marvel had did that a couple of years ago rather than doing what they're doing now, which is holding a giant turd, which is probably going to cost them, best case scenario, $300 million when it's all said and done? Best case scenario?
Besides the poor planning for this. Besides the poor planning for this movie, if you need 3 reshoots to basically remake it, just think of just how little confidence the people behind it have, that they have a product. And I presume that they had a script. They looked at it. They said, yes, this will be a good chapter for this ongoing saga. And they made the movie. They tested it, and the audience rejected it. And so they said, well, let's go ahead and do reshoots. And then it tested it again, and they need to do more reshoots. And so now we're in the 3rd version of this. They have no confidence in this, but they have now gotten to a point where they feel if they don't release it, that they're going to lose face, and
They have
I
no
think,
choice but to release it.
and it's going to, well, if that's the case, no, I mean they have a choice. They could always just say, you know what, it just is not working. We're gonna slip it under Disney Plus. I don't think.
But you know what's gonna happen, and this is like I said, because these movie studios are not movie studios anymore. They're corporations, publicly traded companies. If they do that, they would have to admit that they messed up on a massive MCU project, was a huge seller to their stock price. So if they were to go ahead and pull the plug on this movie altogether, their stock price is gonna plummet, and they're gonna have to answer to their shareholders, and they can't be in the position to do that because
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say not just that, but they have to probably tie this into more of those other movies. So
Yeah.
if this one goes down, they're going to pull down everything that comes after it. The Thunderbolts and the
Thunderbolts is already in the can. They're already finished Fantastic Four, and then they're all preparing for this next Avengers movie with Robert Downey Jr. So if they were to pull the plug on this film, they would essentially have to rewrite like 4 other films that they got coming out after this just to fix the hole that this film will leave.
And they already had to do that when Kang was no longer going to be the main villain that they were building up. So that already went out the window. So now they're going to have to do it again. Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they should just stop. Maybe they should just really stop. But they're not going to. They've just become so addicted to this. They are determined. They are like those people who are just sailing the Titanic. It's already hit the iceberg, and they're determined to sail that ship onto New York, taking in more water until it just goes down. They will not give up.
The band plays on. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Well, like so say, go ahead and give your final thoughts here, and then we'll wrap things up. But go ahead, Orange.
The reason why I say they have to release this film is because, one, if they try doing a tax write-off, one, it's not going to work this time. Disney is in so much debt that they can't afford to do that. They have to release these things in order to mitigate the loss as much as possible. And yes, they're going to lose money on this film. This budget, I think you guys are going to find that it is more up to $450,000 or $450 million rather. Not 300, not 350. No, this is around almost $500 million this budget has blown up to. I think that is actually the true budget. And the fact that they have to release these movies, they have no choice but to release them. Because by putting the movie out, you are at least decreasing the amount of money that you are losing. By not releasing it, you've wasted all that money, all of the marketing and all of that. You can't write that off. And not only that, you're gonna, by not releasing it, you are creating a crisis of faith in your stock. Because people are gonna be like, well, why didn't you release it? Well, why the hell am I even gonna keep investing in you? If you're so ashamed of your damn movie, I'm not going to be freaking investing in this anymore. I'm done. Screw it. Drop it or dump it stock. They have no choice. They have put themselves into such a deeply dug corner that they have gone beyond what the structure originally was. And they have to now dig themselves out, but it's going to be decades before Disney sees green positively again. Deadpool and Wolverine, yes, it made $1 billion. And yes, maybe they felt vindicated, like I already said they would. It's the biggest scam that people fell for. Yeah, the movie was very entertaining, don't get me wrong. But everybody knew that the movie was going to, or it's Disney. Of course, they were going to push or try to push something. And guess what? Ryan Reynolds, thank you to him, by the way, said, you know what? We don't need She-Hulk. We don't need Captain Marvel. Cut them out of the film. That was the most brilliant thing ever. Because he knew this movie is not going to be a promotional for a new film. No, this movie is a standalone. So thank you to Ryan Reynolds. I mean, it sucks that Disney owns the rights and stuff. But he did it right, where Disney isn't going to learn from that. All they are going to learn from is they made green, so we can continue to push our stories and try to push our agendas. When they finally realize, I don't know, by 2050, that, you know what? Nobody gives a shit about you. Put Ryan Reynolds in charge of the MCU. But of course, Ryan Reynolds will probably be retired by then. It's just
till you're
ridiculous,
90.
and
Till
they
you're
won't
90.
learn. Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, you guys should listen to the audio commentary to Deadpool Wolverine. It's fucking hilarious.
A quick answer here, then we'll wrap things up. Warner Brothers is not even close. What else here? Yeah, probably some of the distribution contracts here, and yeah, Ryan Reynolds cannot buy Marvel if he tried. He would have to be a part of like some. He would have to be essentially a part of BlackRock, who would have the actual money to afford something like that. But the answer to that is
Ryan
absolutely
Reynolds.
not. So.
I mean, Marvel right now is not as it's not as valuable as it was when they bought it. It's actually sunk in value. He still couldn't buy it though.
No.
Yeah, no. He's not worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So yeah.
No, he would have to be worth billions of dollars.
Right. It would be insane. Yeah.
I don't even think Elon Musk can buy it by himself. I mean, we're talking about Disney here. I mean, we're talking about like
$314 billion.
Yeah, and I think Disney might be more worth that much too. So yeah, he's not gonna be able to buy it outright.
I'm not talking about buying Disney. I'm talking about simply buying Marvel from Disney.
Still.
Oh, just yeah. Even then, that's still a lot of money. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. We've reached the end of our show here. I think I'll just play this just a little bit because I want to end this show on a sour note. Here's our two women from Wicked here. These are adults, but by the way, I just want to play this because
I'm a person and I feel and I have feelings and I can share them.
And if you need to cry right now, you cry.
Yeah. And someone said to me once that the green was the thing that I would love the most about Alphabet, that I would want to stay green. But actually, being green, yes, I loved playing this character. But every time I took the makeup off, I loved who I was even more.
Do you though?
What?
Do you?
Douche.
Feeling really beautiful.
You
don't look very beautiful.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean, God.
You
absolutely,
know?
Yeah. What you've brought to this film and to these characters,
Good
you've
Lord.
not just taken care of them, you have transformed them for good.
These are adult toddlers. This is what they are. Adult toddlers. They are 35-year-old women who are basically mentally 7. Like, this is where we're at. Those are kindergartner age girls at the playground holding hands with one another.
Is Ariana Grande that old? 35?
Yeah, I think
She's
she's my age.
31. Yeah,
Oh,
31.
31. I didn't know who Ariana Grande was before she licked that fucking donut at the baseball game, and ever since then, she's just plagued.
What did I miss?
Yeah, she was dating Pete Davidson, I think, at the time, and just both those people just are awful people.
All I remember is that at one point she was on a Nickelodeon show with Dan Schneider, and Dan Schneider was taking photos of her feet while she was clearly underage. So that's a whole other rabbit hole you want to dig into it yourself. But yeah, so oh yeah. But inside that, it's all the rings. It's time to end this show so we can get the hell on out of here now. So I'll go ahead and give you a cider because this cider looks like he wants to run into oncoming traffic now. So
Pretty much, yeah. After all that, you can hear about more misery over on Bounding Into Comics, and make sure to check out the 01 stream that we have on tomorrow at 8 o'clock on Eastern Standard Time. Wherever else you live, you have to figure it out. You're on your own. Thank you.
All right, Rick.
You're not going to cut me off, are you?
Hurry up before I cut you off.
Okay, just more reviews, and I'm about to finish my Wizard of Oz retrospective.
All right, Orange.
Just trying to get back to 1600 because, well, YouTube sucks. Tomorrow is Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows with Jade Shadow on her channel at 8:30 p.m. Friday, instead of Turkey Day, is exclusive on X for Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Sunday's weekly recap. And, well, Monday, I don't know if I'm ever going to get back to Monday streams. All depends on what's going on. But also Tuesdays are theme streams. Next month is movies that floated under the radar. So, yeah.
All right. Rob.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Since I, probably won't talk to you or till I can't. I don't know. It's late. I'm very tired. Anyway, have a great holiday. It's probably one of my favorite holidays as an adult. I'm going to be watching a lot of movies. Spartacus, other stuff. I don't know. We'll North by Northwest. We'll throw some stuff on. But I'm kind of finishing up Noirvember here as November ends over the weekend, and so I'm just going to try to get in as many film noirs as I can here before the month ends. But that's pretty much it. I'm trying to catch up on movies as we wind up, getting to the end of the year. So that's coming down the pike, and just getting the year finished up. So as always, thanks for your time and attention. Bye.
All right, and Mark.
All right, thanks for having me on. As usual, I was very pleased to be able to catch up. I've been so busy doing other things. My son's doing his football thing and everything, and we're all in for that. Just came to an end though, the season. But I want to wish everyone, a happy holiday. Be thankful. Be thankful for your brains, for your critical thinking, for your common sense, and let's empower each other here, because the world will have us thinking that we're crazy for feeling how we feel. But it's the world is crazy. It's not us. We're just out here to represent all of you who think critically. So thanks for giving me the platform to be able to do that. I really do appreciate it. Much love to everybody out there.
All right, and then what we got coming up. So like I said, tomorrow on Bounding in the Comics will be on 01 for, I guess, our Thanksgiving Eve show. Friday, we'll be doing the Friday Night Movie Club. We're on the last few episodes. We're talking about Moana 2 tomorrow. Not tomorrow, on Friday, I should say. And then the last couple of episodes, I know we're supposed to be doing Kraven and Sonic 3. May change. No. No, what? Second thought, no, we're not going to change that. We're going to do Kraven and Sonic 3 because I don't want to let those guys off the hook. So those are the films we're going to be reviewing, and then we'll do our best and worst movies of the year. So that'll be a topic as we wrap up the Friday Night Movie Club. And then I'm working on one new show that we should be doing on a weekend, and then we should be moving this show up an hour as well. So we should be starting the show at 8 o'clock. At starting in 2025 as well. I wanted to move up to 7, and that may be too early for some people, but 8 o'clock seems to be a good sweet spot to do that. So that's some other changes we got coming up. This Sunday we have the Bible Lens. I believe we're talking about Calvinism on the Bible Lens on Sunday. I know I scheduled Tiny, our good buddy, to do a show next January regarding that as well. So I'll have more details coming up here soon. So we'll keep you posted on everything that's going on. But that's what I have here. To everyone who joined us here on this show tonight, to Cider, to Orange Hat, to Rick, to Mark, and to Rob, thank you guys for joining us here. We're signing off. Good night, goodbye. And I guess this is a weird video now that Brie Larson cut her hair and she looks like a troll. But I mean, hey, we'll just keep it going. This is the outro. Good night.
Okay.
Making your way through the daily grind takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to tune away? All those nights when you're feeling low, the rent is overdue, and your coffee maker's broken, your luck just seems to skew, and your boss is always on your case. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed and you feel the dread. The morning's looking bleak, and your internet is down again. You haven't slept all week, and your car just broke down on the way. Be glad there's a place online where you can feel at ease. In the barroom, podcast friends, we share our thoughts and tease. Every story shared, every laugh so free. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. So here's to the moments we all hold dear, in this barroom of the airwaves with friends so near. Every heartfelt cheer. It's more than just a podcast, it's where we steer.
I still don't feel like I know how to shoot these things.